Friends, welcome back to another very special hobby stream from us here at Hobby Titans. I'm Zach, and the man sitting to my left has an actual pot of gold hidden at the end of an actual rainbow. But here's where it gets interesting. He's not a leprechaun. They said he's too tall, and they kicked him out. Brett, how you doing?
I'm doing really good, Zach.
Brett, speaking of metallic.
Yeah, speaking of metallic.
Speaking of gold.
Yeah.
We have a bit of gold.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, we have a bit of gold to work with here today. We are going to be tackling one of the most infamous armies as far as hobbying goes in all of 40K, right?
Yeah. They have a reputation.
They have a reputation, for sure. I'm not going to say it's going to be super easy, but I think it's going to be easier than people think.
Yeah.
We have a system down. We're going to go through the system. We're going to get creative. Are you ready to get creative?
I'm ready.
Let's get creative. Okay, and here they are. Whipped these guys up the past couple of days. These are my battle-ready Thousand Sons Rubric Marines. Do I count them among my best work? No. Do I count them as good enough? Yes. And there's also a little bit of cleanup here we could do, and we might get that far, but not sure yet today. We'll see. Brett and I are going to tackle 5 more Rubric Marines, and we're going to go through and kind of show you step-by-step how to accomplish this look that you see here on these guys. It's a lot of little techniques. It's a lot of step-by-step. There's almost... ooh, is my mic not working?
Oh.
Oh, wait, maybe it's me. Okay. Can you guys hear me? Chat, let me know. Okay, there we go. Let me know. I think Brett, I think it was me. It fell down in my apron. These aprons. Okay. Yeah, maybe turn me up a little. Looks like. Thank you, Brett. So these.
You also might be muted.
No, I think I'm.
Nope. Okay.
Oh wait, yeah, I am. There we go. Thanks, chat. Man, I hope people heard my Leprechaun intro about you.
Yeah, I think they heard it through my mic.
Through your mic. Okay, great. Sorry about that, guys. And thanks, chat, for letting us know. We can see that. So, lots of steps here, but no one step is really that crazy.
Yeah.
So we have step by step. Going to go through this. Brett and I together. 5 rubrics. We have them also in the glam cam.
Let's check it out.
Let's see how they look there, because the video itself is a little funky sometimes. There they are. We may get to OSL glow today if we have time. There are a number of ways as we go through this together, guys, that you could. I hate to use this most overused phrase of 2021, but you could glow up your your Rubric Marines. But we're going to show you just like the basics, right? And then we'll show you along the way, we'll say, you could do this or you could do that, and kind of up it up.
Yeah, there's some options here.
There's some options here.
There's a little bit of choose your own adventure.
In addition, we're going to be using a number of fun tools. We did not.
Yes.
We did not quite. I did not get the link up, but I have already started a Google Doc that outlines this whole process. I think I have like 1 or 2 steps I did not do yet. Just like I did with the Beast Claw Raiders marathon, I will go back and I'll make a community post. I'll make a post in Discord, and I'll post a link under this to a paste bin that shows all the steps and all the colors we used.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to be using a number of fun tools today as well. First and foremost, when we get there, you guys have heard me talk about these Craftwork metallic pens.
Yeah.
Up until now,
these are kind of some magic sauce as far as Zach's painting recipes are concerned.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. Up until now, they've been kind of a supporting player.
Yeah.
Today, they're going to be taking center stage because we're going to be using them for, obviously, the most infamous part of one of the most infamous units, which is the trim on these Rubric Marines, right?
Yeah. How many gold pens do you think we're going to go through today?
So
we're going to go through that whole package?
So what's very funny is I've already gone through a few packages of these because they do wear out kind of quick. But right. I've gone through mostly the silver. So as you can see, that this package has not been touched.
Yeah.
Each package comes with 4 silver and 4 gold. And I already have like 2 gold here. I've got like 6 more gold at home. So I have plenty of gold. So this is actually serendipitous.
Yeah.
Okay. Other cool stuff we're going to be using, and we're going to jump in here right now, is Turbo Dork paint. This is also a brand of paint that I really love. I've used it a little bit in the past. A little bit on the channel. I think, have we done anything with Turbo Dork? I feel like we have.
Maybe some terrain highlight kind of stuff.
I feel like something.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give you the new bottle. That's not necessarily a good thing. And I'll be honest, I have had some Turbo Dork bottles not be great when I open them up.
And so, in case you're unfamiliar with Turbo Dork, their shtick is metallics. Like, this is how they sort of made their name. And in particular, color shift metallics.
That's right.
So if you've seen, cars painted in a certain way, it's like when you look at it from one angle, it looks blue, and if you look at it from another angle, it looks purple. That's what we mean when we say color shift. And so these paints are hobby paints with that same kind of effect. They're not all color shift. They have some just sort of standard metallics as well.
Yeah.
But their whole claim to fame is their line of metallics.
I actually personally I do love their color shifts. I have used their color shifts before. I actually prefer, or let me say this, I find more useful their metallics, which is mostly what we're going to be using today. We will use a little bit of the color shift though, just for kind of a subtle effect.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that they come with agitators in the bottles.
That's like a big deal.
Especially for metallics, because the metallic flakes can sort of settle and...
Yeah. So we're going to go through, and the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to coat these dudes in Cool Ranch. Their names are always very cute.
Yeah.
This is Cool Ranch because if you're in the U.S. And probably Canada and probably other parts of the world, Doritos flavor Cool Ranch comes in this color bag.
Yeah.
And that's where the name comes from, I think.
I think this is about right. And so you're working on, you've got the torsos and legs there.
I've got,
bodies, and I've got shoulder pads, arms, and backpacks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sub-assemblies are going to be big. I highly recommend it for this. Also, one of the things I want to do in showing you guys this stuff today is I did want to use an airbrush. I did not want to not use an airbrush. But I didn't want to use a specialized airbrush, so I left the Sotar on the shelf. We're only going to use the Badger Patriot 105.
Yep.
So
and we're basically just using the airbrush for quick application of paint. Like, I sort of feel like if you had a steady hand and didn't have an airbrush or had a little bit more time, you could do the work we're doing today with a brush probably as well, right?
I think so. I'm not sure I personally would love the color shift with a brush.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But you can.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a nightmare. So I am jumping in here and I'm starting to Turbo Dork, Cool Ranch all over my dudes. And that is going to be step one.
Nice.
Everything
all right.
Is Chad okay?
Yeah. No, I was just catching up on what Chad's up to.
Oh, good. So yeah, I definitely recommend leaving things sub-assembled. And the way I've done it, when Brett gets going here, he'll switch off and you can kind of see what I've done. Yeah. The way I've done it, no rush, but the way I've done it is I've done their legs, their torso, and their arm that's going to be gripping their weapon, and their head all together. And you can see, as Brett kind of mentioned, the actual airbrushing of this guy is not particularly skilled in this first color. I literally am just really getting the Cool Ranch color down all over things. No, it's okay if you leave some black. You can see I'm doing that, but for the most part, just covering them with that Cool Ranch.
And so we're doing a little bit of directionality here. We're not doing an explicit zenithal. We're not sort of doing a white application before we do any of these colors, but the idea is to sort of apply the prime black and then apply colors from the top direction generally.
Yeah, now Cool Ranch, not necessarily. Cool Ranch, it's pretty okay to...
Yeah, we're gonna make the whole thing Cool Ranch, and then we're gonna switch to that strategy once for the next couple of colors as we get progressively lighter.
Exactly. I'm just adding You guys know I love to return my paint that I don't use. And the cool thing about Turbo Dork, I will say a couple things, a pro and a con, and it's the same. It's that it's very pigmented, I guess, really like kind of high pigmentation levels. So it goes on very aggressively, and it's very shiny, and I don't know, it just looks great. The problem with it though is I find that it can be a little problematic if you don't keep on top like of cleaning your airbrush while you're doing it. So definitely, you know, you guys know I love my toothbrush. Keep toothbrushing your airbrush tip.
Yeah, Brick in the Head was just asking about tip drying. This is the solution to tip drying, is you take a toothbrush, you pre-soak it with some airbrush cleaner, and Zach does this before the show, and then you just kind of brush the toothbrush that you have nearby on hand over the needle.
Yep. Yeah, you're not gonna mess the needle up doing that unless you're like really digging in, which don't be. Just be kind of subtle about it. But it does like solidify. It does solidify up pretty quick compared to other paints. I think all metallics do to an extent, and I think Turbo Dork especially. So I do find that I'm pretty aggressively having to keep on top of cleaning my airbrush. I just did a bunch earlier today. I didn't have a single clog. So I think I have a good system down that I will be sharing with you guys.
Zach also cleaned my airbrush before the show. I'm an airbrushing new person, and I'm still sort of figuring out a system for airbrush cleaning.
Yeah.
And Zach gets fed up every time he has to use my airbrush. He's like, this thing is so gnarly.
Yeah.
Why don't you clean it? And I'm like, I thought it was clean. He's like, and then I get this gigantic eye roll.
Yeah, I'm an airbrush spaz about like keeping my airbrush clean, and yeah, this is Turbo Dork. You have to. I wanted your brush to be clean before we start using Turbo Dork because I was like, this could not go great.
Yeah, this is not airbrush cleaning Titans. We would prefer to not spend half of our show cleaning our airbrush on air. That's our preference. Sometimes it happens though.
Yeah. So while Brett is finishing up with his Cool Ranch there, I'm going to move on to Daba D, which, you know, they give all of their colors have these kind of like pop culture references. And so this is from that song.
That song?
I don't know when it was from. Like the 2000s? Feels like a 2000s song. Anyway,
it's from that song.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what that song is, that's your problem, not ours.
Well, it's Blue Daba D, right?
Yeah.
Something I will show you guys real quick. Brett, if we can do either top down or shoulder.
Sure.
This is, if you guys have been using Turbo Dorks, one of the things I see, they have a great community, by the way. And one of the things I see pop up in their Facebook group all the time is people saying that it's clogged. And stuff's not coming out. Well, of course it could actually be very clogged. Another thing you can do is, I find that if you try to add your paint in like directly over top like this, it's not good. So you want to kind of actually add it like an angle, and it should come out a lot easier, because what's happening is instead of the ball dropping down and like basically plugging,
yes,
it's sitting down here.
That agitator,
yeah.
ends up blocking the paint from coming out of the bottle.
Exactly. So, okay, with Daba D, what we're going to do is we're going to do Zenenthal, but we're not going to really like do an aggressive Zenenthal. So you can see my angle here. I'm going to kind of come at it like this. Maybe I guess for a sec, if we want to do front, so people can kind of see the angle here on front. So I'm going to kind of be at, I don't know, what is this angle?
Isometric.
Isometric? Is there a number though?
What?
Is there a number, like percent? Like 90?
Isometric defines a percent. I don't actually know what it is though.
Oh, interesting. I don't even know how to respond to that. Okay, so anyway, you can see I'm kind of coming at it from an angle. I'm holding this guy a little bit to a tilt. I'm fine with like the Cool Ranch staying in the recesses. I'm fine with the Cool Ranch falling especially down like towards the bottom, towards his feet and legs. But I am trying to largely get Daba D, blue Daba D, kind of all over this dude. But again, Cool Ranch is fine. It's not going to be a bad look if there's some there.
Yeah, the Cool Ranch is there to exist in the places where we miss with these other colors. So it's sort of like a shadowed version. There's like an armpit or like the area of a chest behind a gun or something.
Yeah, that's actually a good way to think about it. It's like it doesn't. It's there, right, in case we miss. That's actually a great way to think about it. Yeah. So those guys hanging around here now. What I will say, also the other thing I want to do, we're way too early for it yet. The other thing I want to do today is we're going to show you some stopping points along the way. So if you are thinking, hey, you know, I'm a little nervous to do a metallic army, or I'm particularly nervous to do Thousand Sons Rubric Marines, I'm particularly, you know, this step that these guys do, or if it seems scary or seems hard, or I don't know if I'm ready for that yet, or if you're kind of in a position where you're like, you know, I don't have a lot of time. Like maybe you bought some start collecting on Sunday and want to have them for a game on Saturday, right? We've all done this. And
like maybe you're like, oh my gosh, Thousand Sons are just out. I got 2 of the boxes. I want to.
Yeah, right. We all do this.
Take them to an event.
I mean, Brett and I are in a gaming club, and the number of times that people in the gaming club, probably maybe myself included, maybe not. You know, people have these beautiful armies in our club. There's a fully painted requirement, and in general, the painting level's pretty good, I think, in our club. And you know, there'll be an event, and someone will just like ruin their week to like bring a new army, and it's like, dude, you've got like 2 beautiful armies at home. You really had to play this army this week? Yeah.
The new thing.
Yeah,
it's new.
It's funny. So that said, yeah, if you are kind of like saying, oh, I want to play some Thousand Sons, I'll show you some hopping off points. So just like I'm gonna show you guys some points where you can keep going and say like, here are some new things you could do, extra steps. We'll say you could be done, right?
Yeah. Halfway through here, we'll show you. This is where you could stop. If you're in a hurry, you could stop here.
And when I was doing them today, I was really like thinking about a lot of these. I was kind of like, oh, this. I was like, I've definitely seen less finished Thousand Sons, less finished models than this at my friendly local gaming store. So we'll get to those points. Not that I really have to point them out to you guys. You'll probably say, yeah, I could stop right there.
I want to also highlight a stylistic difference. I appreciated that you filled your airbrush once, painted all 5 guys, and then poured the extra paint back into the cup. Yeah. And I'm like on my 4th fill of this. Because I'm like, oh, I don't want to have to like pour paint back into the cup. That sounds like a pain in the butt. Meanwhile, I've just wasted, you know, whatever, 30 seconds times 4.
I think I'm a little unusual in that. I know Megan has started painting some stuff, and she was doing that as well. She was hoping to add like just the right amount, and I think she usually was. But I honestly, a lot of what I do when I paint is kind of about like being quick. Yeah. I think like speed and techniques that are like not skill techniques, but just like get it done techniques. And I want to just drive that to like 90%. And then like the last 10% is, all right, here we go. Or when I get to like a technique, like today we'll do a little blended brushwork on the aspiring sorcerer's, what are these?
Spell effects?
His scarf.
Oh, yeah.
I'll brushwork that.
Is it knitted?
What's that?
Is it a knitted scarf?
Yeah, he's got like a knitted, like Christmas style scarf.
Yeah,
I should do that. Red and white, red and green stripes.
I like it.
How you doing?
Back for number 5.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm ready for color 3.
Oh my gosh, Zach.
But that means you might have a little more than me, even though it kind of seems like Brett has less. Let's do top down.
Sure.
Who has?
I mean, I've got a lot of these corks.
He's got the little guys. I've got the 5 bodies here. So what I'll do, and that's fine because I have a lot of different other things I need to get done as well. And Brett's got, you know, button pressing duty.
I've got button pressing to do, Zach. Yeah. That's why I'm way behind, is because I've been pressing all these buttons.
Okay, So these guys. The next paint I'm going to use, this is a new line that Turbo Dork has had come out, I think about 18 months ago, so not super new. They released this line of paints based off of just like Japanese cuisine, especially kind of like street food and Japanese American food and stuff that's made. Yeah, and they're all basically like pastel metallics.
Oh, interesting.
So I know they have a green.
That's perfect for you. You love pastels.
I do, and I love metallics.
I love metallics.
So they have a green, I know that's called matcha. They have a pink and a yellow, and I don't recall what those two are called. We're going to be using Maguro, which is tuna. And so it is like this pastel sky blue metallic color. They have another color similar to this called blue steel. I've used blue steel a lot.
Ooh.
Yeah, blue steel is great. I actually use it for terrain. If you think about metallics and you think about what is like a color of metallic that I would see in an industrial area.
Yeah. Blue steel?
Blue steel is about as like colorful as metallic gets on a regular basis. So the board I did for Titans, the one that's very purple, that board has a lot of blue steel all over it because it looks like it works just very much like it could be in today's world, today's Earth instead of 41st millennium Earth, but also 41st millennium Earth. So whereas if you start like introducing metallic red and different kind of funky colors, you're kind of stepping into something. I don't know if that makes sense, but you're implying something, something special.
Right.
I did my orcs, by the way. Actually, I should have taken some video of them for today's show.
Orcs?
I did my orc aeronautical fleet.
Oh yes.
In red Turbo Dork paints as well. So anyway, Maguro a little different from blue steel. I think blue steel looks a little more like silvery, maybe a little cooler, whereas this is like pastel. Beautiful color. So Maguro, here we go. We always talk about this. This is the color of the Thousand Sons, pretty much. So again, this stuff comes out nice if you hold it at the 3/4 angle. I have not had the thin Turbo Dork, by the way, to use it through my airbrush, but I have not yet really used it through my Sotar.
I'm having that thing that you were saying, like if I can't get the paint to come out, presumably because the agitator is blocking.
Yeah.
Come in a little bit. It's all right. I'll come back to it when I refill my cup 3 more times.
Okay, so Brett, if we could do a shoulder for this, I'll kind of show. This one we are going to do a little bit thinking about Zenenthal here. Zenenthawing here. I don't know if there's a
verb
active
form?
verb tense of Zenenthal, but here we go. So I'm hitting them, kind of turning them this lighter blue color here. I want it, I want it a little lighter blue than normal. There we go. Brett, what is your favorite trader or non-trader? Chaos or non-chaos Space Marine Legion?
Space Marine Legion?
Wait, let's say like the original 20. Well, the original 18.
Original 8?
So it can't be Black Templar.
Oh, because I own Black Templars.
Yeah.
I see.
It's got to be like one of the ones from the Horus Heresy.
Honestly, like I own Black Templar, but they're not like I own them for sentimental reasons. I have a friend who gifted me his old models, and so I have sort of a sentimental attachment to them. The like fluff behind them is like it's fun, it's interesting, it's fun to role play Black Templar a little bit because they're kind of.
Let's dig into that a little later.
Because they're kind of fanatical zealots, which is like a different mindset than I typically occupy.
Not about sourdough starters.
What?
Nothing. Anyway, so go ahead. Go on.
Wow, I'm super confused now.
You make good sourdough, that's all.
What does that have to do with Black Templar?
Well, you said fanatical mindset, and I'm like, you've had the same sourdough for like 2 decades, right?
Oh, that's pretty fanatical, yeah. You know, we recently moved house, and I'm concerned that the sourdough died in the move. that it might have not made the trip.
I heard that like that's impossible, and then we have our friend Matt Lee. He wasn't sure.
Yeah.
He makes it, and then another friend of mine was like, no, you can always revive it just with the flour and the water, or maybe like I forget. There's like a little trick, and I tried to use it right. Like it came back.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Well, we're on like 3 or 4 weeks now, so hopefully he's right.
Yeah.
But I'm dodging your question.
yeah. Favorite Space Marines that were from, one of the original 18, really legions, right? Because I said legions, and I've played Horse Heresy, but you didn't.
Right.
And so when I said legions, you were like, Legion?
Well, no. So I've read the first 3 Horse Heresy books, and that's as far as I've gotten.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit light on Space Marine fluff as it goes. I think as far as my knowledge goes, I like the idea of salamanders, and I like the idea of as good guys, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about this before. We both sort of enjoy playing good guy factions.
Yeah.
I sort of additionally appreciate the sort of craftsman angle that the salamanders have as a guy who enjoys building things. So yeah, I think salamanders would probably be my choice.
Sure. I sort of wish we had done a poll to see like what people like. I have to say that I'm kind of with you as far as loyalist.
That's true. I haven't even been considering chaos factions.
Because here's the thing, realistically, the chaos factions are the fun ones. First founding chapters is the word I'm looking for. The chaos factions are really like the fun one, but let's say that...
Were salamanders a first founding?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They are, I don't remember their legion number. Someone in chat will bring it up. But the chaos ones I think are really like usually a little more flavorful.
Yeah.
I find that most of the chaos factions are
certainly more interesting.
Yeah, a little more like unique. But I will say that you're right. Like the salamanders, I think are one of the ones that is a loyalist that has the best kind of background. Best
if you're
kind
into
of like
good guys,
angle, right? Like I'm not really compelled by the angle of some of the other good guys. I think the other good guy one I really like, oddly, is Ultramarines.
Ultramarines, yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of like statesmen, nation builders.
I need your help.
Is it really stuck?
I actually have done this before, where you squeeze and you squeeze and you squeeze, and then the top pops off, and you get it dumped all over.
Oh yeah, no, I think it actually needs to be.
It is clogged.
To be clogged.
Okay, well then I can do that with this guy, right?
Yeah, that's what I would use.
All right, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy.
This is I am seeing a little drawing here though, so I'm gonna. Your Brett has the Cult of Paint Infinity, and I was noticing while I was like working with it that it reminds me a little bit more of my Sotar. That thing keeps coming out.
It definitely clogs a little easier than the Badger.
Yeah,
for sure.
The stuff dries on the tip a little bit nicer. Not a little bit nicer, but like not. That's not nice. Okay, cool. So my guys are pretty much ready to go. And by ready to go, I mean ready for the next step. And this step is actually I would say, the hardest one, the most time consuming, and it's not the trim. What we're gonna do now is we are going to shade these guys. So the way I'm gonna do this, I have Drakenhof Nightshade, and what I'm gonna do is go in with it and hit areas that are raised, areas that I know will soon, right next to areas that are soon going to be hit with the pen, the Baoki Craftwork pen for the gold trim. So this is actually something that I want people to consider when you paint Thousand Sons. And what I want you to consider is that there's actually a lot of things about this army that make it a relatively easy army to paint, believe it or not, in my opinion. One of them is that it gets its flair really from the gold trim, which means I actually don't really edge highlight very much of this army. You'll kind of see my approach to it later, and it goes pretty quick. It's an easy process. So that's what I would say. Like, there's a lot of things kind of scary about the gold trim, but because the gold trim is there, one, you save on edge highlighting. There's no real panels on this army. And then here's sort of the third and final thing I'll add.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, the other thing is there's no, as we call them, gubbins for this army. Very few. This kit is a new kit, a newer kit, pretty new, the Rubric Marine Kit. I actually wonder if anybody in chat knows this or not, but I was sort of wondering what the first upsized Marine kit was. And I think this might have come out before Primaris Marines did. And these guys are upsized. So I think either them or Chaos, the original Chaos, I can't quite remember the order in which things came out. But these guys are one of the earlier, like, larger true scale Marines.
Yeah. Gubbin light. Gubbin free? Gubbin light?
I don't think you'd want gubbins. The kit, the point I was making is that the kit is new, but relatively gubbin free. I think there's like a scroll.
Yeah.
I think that's basically it. Literally, there might be one gubbin in this kit, and it's like a scroll.
Single gub.
And you don't really want a lot of gubbins on these guys because they are busy,
Yeah. How do you feel about taking some questions?
I did see that we had a couple before they get too far away. Yeah.
So, great. Yeah. Brick in the Head wants to know if we like grape. Do you like grape?
Yes. Grapes.
Grapes. Yeah. Grapes are good. Green or red?
Green. Red's okay. Blacks are good too.
Really? Like, you feel strongly about grape color?
They're all pretty good, but I think green is the best.
Green's where it's at.
Yeah.
But you prefer white wine to red wine?
No.
Other way around?
Usually, yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Crusader Kerbo, thank you for the donation. Hey Titans, I blame Zach for making me want to build terrain. I just picked up Warzone Caradon, Vertigus, and Kill Team Sector Mechanicus and Munitorum. That's a lot of terrain boxes.
Oh, great. That's awesome.
And yeah, that's amazing. Great job. Those will be fun projects to work on.
Here's one of the things I learned about making terrain is that when I made terrain among my play group and friends and stuff, it gave me purpose in a lot of ways, and I would say not that you should go through life being like, oh, how can I better my situation among my peers, right? But people tend to respect you when you're the guy who's made like all of the terrain they play on, and
yeah, you're definitely like the terrain guy around here.
I would never use it as leverage on anyone, and that's not at all what I'm implying anyone should do, because it's not about that. But I'm just saying that it was nice because people say, well, look, this guy hobbies a lot, and he's doing this nice thing for us by making all this terrain. And really, that's you're gonna find, Kerbo, that's not the problem. It's not making the terrain that's the problem. You're gonna love making the terrain. It is storing the terrain.
It's storing it, yeah.
And maybe worse, transporting the terrain.
Transporting it.
Because it's, whenever we have like an event, we had an event a couple months ago, and you had some of my terrain at your place, and that was actually great. I was like, oh, thank God, Brett has to take at least one of my sets. I live on the third floor of an apartment complex, and our car is like right under our apartment, down the elevator, but still, like, you're carrying all these tubs, you're opening all these doors with your feet all the time, and you're like, and it's like, okay, I'll be there Sunday at 10. Everybody else gets to like get out, grab their army,
set
and
their
go.
alarm for 9:15 and just kind of roll out the door. And
Right,
you're like,
I'm like, all right, 7 a.m. Let me start getting all my terrain together. It's really the there's cleaner too, Brett, if you want to use it.
No,
The thinner's
I
probably
realized it came out like very thick. So for whatever reason, this is the new bottle of the Doro. I don't know. I think you've got the other one over there.
Oh yeah, do you want to use it? Use this one.
Well, it's too late now.
No.
So, and you're in the middle of an epic story. So I didn't want to interrupt.
So I would say that, like, that's kind of the nice thing about making terrain is among your play group, people will say, "Oh, cool, Kerbo's making terrain." So you're doing everybody a favor by doing
For
it.
sure.
Honestly,
Make a lot of friends that way.
yeah, and honestly, the other thing about it is that it's a great way to level up your hobby skills because it's very easy to say, "Hey, let me just like add one more building and try a new technique on it."
Yep.
And if it comes out looking bad, you're just like, "All right, I would just redo that," or like, not a big deal, right?
Yeah, there's a lot less pressure.
Yeah, pink foam especially because it's so cheap. You can play around with pink foam and try new painting techniques on it, and it's no loss if you mess it up. Really, no economic loss.
All right, I'm going to zoom in on you, Zach. What are you doing there?
I am still doing the recess washing, and it's really not recess washing. You can see I'm actually not like being super careful about it, and I like to use my free finger here to like clean up if it gets too far out. But in general, I am hugging the areas that we're about to do with the Baoki Craftwork pen. You can see just putting in, it's cool if it gets pulled up a little bit here. Don't let me get my head too close in there. And obviously, since you're going to be doing the Baoki Craftwork pen, since you're going to be doing it after, it's okay if you go up on the raised area, because it's going to get covered with the pen anyway, so not a big deal. This area with the bumps right here that I'm working on, you guys can see this on his leg. It's similar to the headdress. We'll talk about the legs and the headdress. This is actually an area that we can hop off and skip. What I definitely want to do either way though is wash the recesses, because if I do decide that I'm not going back in here, I'm not cleaning this up, I'm not putting stripes, I'm not painting in color on there or anything, then I at least want the recesses washed to give it like that depth that we do, the whole reason we wash recesses. So do the same thing with the headdress. I actually think I forgot to hit the headdress on the first guy here.
I'm really impressed by how metallic this Maguro color is. It's like, these were sort of metallic blue, but like this Maguro is very shiny.
Yeah, it's pretty shiny.
I'm basically just adding shininess to the Dababi.
Exactly. I think that's like Turbo Dork colors work well with other Turbo Dork colors.
Yeah.
And that purple board I did is almost entirely Turbo Dork as well. I think that the metallics are interesting. There's a lot of things I don't love about metallics. In that I actually think they shut down a lot of interesting painting techniques, sort of early on in the process. And what I mean by that is, I don't think you can. Well, at least let me say this: I can't yet. I'm not at a skill level where I feel like I can blend them in ways that's quite as compelling as I can do with non-metallics, either by hand or with an airbrush. But I do like the different Turbo Dork colors. I do think they work well together. You can see I'm being like not super worrisome here about where my wash is going, but what I don't want to do with my wash, like any like this, like his hand right here, or his forearm right here, like I don't want to just like put wash all over that, right? Like, so I'm trying to wash recesses. I'm trying to wash areas that are going to be adjacent to raised gold trim areas.
Yeah.
But I can be kind of sloppy otherwise.
Yep.
I just don't want to get like wash pulling up on like large panel areas. This is sort of what I'm talking about the Thousand Sons though. They don't have a lot of areas like that. Like, I'm not just going to streak wash all over the model, but it's actually fairly easy, if not time consuming, to get this step down here. How you doing, Brett?
Good. This Maduro layer is going quickly. And I'm just about done.
Let me hand you a rubric, see if it feels like it's a good match. Like,
oh, that's interesting. Yeah, having two different people do.
Yeah, so that's kind of yeah, exactly.
That's the risk.
Because it looks like you're putting it on maybe a little lighter.
A little lighter. Okay.
Yeah. Whereas, like again, this is sort of the color of the Marine, right? of the Rubric Marine.
Okay, I'll go back. Yeah, thank you for that. I'll go back and add a little more.
And it is like the type of sorry, what I was about to say. The thing you mentioned here is two different people, right? And it's not about like one's right or one's wrong, but it is true, right? Like somebody's technique has to be consistent, and we talked about that when we did our marathon with the Gargants, right? We were like, I'll do all the skin because the skin has to be the same.
Yep.
If people are doing the skin differently, which of course they will, then we're gonna have a problem. Which is the models are gonna look like it was an eBay army, right?
Yeah, you don't want one person doing the backpacks and one person doing the torsos. The recipe for disaster, guys.
Yeah.
Do as we say, not as we do.
Yeah. Now, I actually forgot a step here, but that's okay. We can still do it, which is that I do want to hit these guys with a little bit of the color shift paint. And I'm going to use one that brings in a little bit of pink and a little bit of purple here. Let me make sure I am staying back with my head. Not letting my mop of hair cover this.
All right, we have another question. This one's from Matt Baker. Thank you, Matt. Advice on color scheme for a rich, royal-looking cloth. I'm working on a Talons kill team. I want the robes and capes to tie them together. Wardens/Sisters of Silence.
Well, I think the looks, also, thank you, Matt, so much. And I think the looks that people tend to do for those are red or purple.
Red or purple, yeah.
And I'll tell you what I would recommend is red and purple.
Red and purple.
I would get red and purple in there together. Red and purple look great together. I would, if they're going to be like, Talons are usually kind of gold. So if you're going to be doing like a metallic look with gold, I would say inner using, different reds and purples, honestly, for different capes. And I wouldn't like make, this sister red and this sister purple. I'd make sure I got red and purple on each model together.
Okay.
Red, purple, and gold. There's really nothing to most people that's going to look more regal than that. I'll give you a different approach though. One approach that'd be like a more kind of European Western approach, a little bit more of like Islamic high art period look could be doing them kind of in a bronze, and then mixing in if you kind of think about like artwork from Spain during like the Moorish area, and combining colors like just look up like Islamic art from what they call the golden age of Islam, and you'll see it's like a lot of teals and aquas, oftentimes mixed with like dark browns and golds, and they use bronze a lot. So that could be a cool look. Like if you want to do the armor bronze, I would say teals, chocolates.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, like light blues, sky blues, whites. That would be a super cool look for that army. A little unique, right? So I think like the kind of European regalness comes from gold, red, and purple. And I think probably a little bit more kind of like Southwest Asian area look would be like bronze, like I would say azul, teal colors, and chocolate and white. Could get some cool looks.
I was going to suggest the red or purple as well, but and I actually think you could. How would you feel about doing like different colors for different squads? So like you've got red squad, you've got purple squad, and you've got teal squad. Like use that as your sort of squad denoter. Maybe not the best idea. Well, as I'm saying it out
some
loud.
people like it. I mean, like I think a lot of people like to do that. For me, I don't, but I pay a price for it, which is my squads aren't.
They're hard to tell apart.
Hard to tell, yeah. Excuse me. For a lot of times I don't do that because like I just paint a bunch of Tau Fire Warriors, and I just grab a bunch of Tau Fire Warriors, and I don't care that they're different squad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With something like Talons, or like if you're making a specialized kill team or something like that,
right?
Maybe you would want that delineation between the different squads or the different people in your kill team.
Yeah. It's up to you. It's your army.
But yeah, looking, I would say look up just in general what has been regal in different cultures and time periods throughout the time. Yet another one you could do if you look at in Age of Sigmar, if you look at Seraphon, right? And you look at, these are the lizard men, and you look at their colors, they're a very regal army. Lots of gold, lots of silver, lots of bronze, metallics. But what are they mixed with? Well, the lizard men themselves, again, are like teal. So in this way, you're actually kind of combining what we said about the European style versus like the Islamic art style. And you could do, for Aztec-y stuff, I would say like teals again, orange and red. Teal, orange, red could be beautiful. So don't necessarily just be like, oh, let me kind of go like what I know to be. Right, purple. Immediately jump to purple. Yeah, although that said, purple, pretty cool. Not a bad choice. Yeah. You know, I just realized I'm spending all this time cleaning this clog out, but I think I'm done with airbrushing. So. Oh, good. Not also, sure if you're not, my airbrush is open. So. Cool. All right, so I have only now just finished my airbrushing, and so I'm on to pen work. Is that what I'm doing next? You were doing, no, not yet. You're gonna use the. I'm gonna do the nightshade. Yeah. Okay, so I've caught up. And let's actually do this. I'm gonna pass. This guy that I already passed you, I believe, has already been recessed, washed. Yeah. Let me pass my last guy to you. Okay. And this to you. And what I'm actually going to do, real quick, is I'm going to use my airbrush. I'm going to hit everything, including your guys, real quick, with the Crystal Cavern, which is the color shift. The color shift, yeah. Yeah, because it's kind of fun, and we definitely want to show that. Do you want me to work on this guy? No, actually, let me. I'm gonna work on him? No, go ahead and work on him. Okay. Here's what I was getting at. I see. That I was going to do. I'm going to not do it on these guys' faces and main bodies this time. I'm just going to do it on their shields. Okay. Actually on the shoulder pads. Okay. Yeah, just on the shoulder pads. Yeah, so if you want to pass me those. Shoulder pads for Zach. Yeah. Great. These look great. All right. Thank you, Kenneth, for the donation. Kenneth asks, Zach would love to see your recommendations for OSL on these minis maybe later in the stream or on the Google Doc. Do you normally prefer to dry brush OSL or use your airbrush? Well, when we say OSL, object source lighting, right, is a little different than what I'm going to do here today on these guys and what if you switch real quick to the glam cam, you can see I did a little bit of glow effect there on the Reaper auto cannon, on the staff of the aspiring sorcerer, and also on his hand. And I will show that. I think if we get there, if we don't get there today, like you said, Kenneth, it'll be in the Google Doc, kind of how I did it. Yeah, go ahead. No. I was just gonna say it's a subtle distinction, OSL versus glow effect. So you can see like what on the sorcerer's staff, I would call that a glow effect, because we don't have the light that's being emitted from the staff sort of showing up on his shoulder pad or the side of his helmet. That would be OSL. But if you look at his hand, you can see the purple glow from the spell that he's casting on his hand is appearing on the inside of his arm, on his chest a little bit. I think a little bit. I think I got a little bit on his face. Yeah, on his face. And that is sort of true OSL because the source of the light is his hand, and you're seeing that light appearing on other parts of his body. And that, I mean, airbrush is great for that. I almost only have airbrush. That said, we will do a little bit of glow effect with a dry brush effect today around these guys have it actually around their eyes. Sorry, 1 second. Can we go back to the glam 1 more second? Oh, sure. It might be hard to see because it's super subtle. And I'll actually, maybe if we remember, I'll try to show you guys the eyes before the little dry brush glow and the eyes after. The dry brush glow around their eyes is almost like, it's very subtle. You almost don't notice when it's there. But when you see a difference with one who has it versus one who doesn't have it, you'll at that point, you'll probably notice the difference. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm doing here on these guys is hitting them with the color shift I'm using is called Crystal Cavern. And Crystal Cavern is a lighter version of, I think, their most famous one, which is called Blue Raspberry. And the two colors we're alternating here between are really like, here's the bottle, it's really like light blue and pink. And it's pretty subtle. If you wanted to like really get an intense Turbo Dork color shift, I would say Crystal Cavern would not be my pick. Like, it's great. I'm super happy for it. It's doing what I want. But if you were like really excited, like, yes, it's gonna have color shift on these guys, this one would not be the one that's gonna like be the most striking. And I don't even know how well this shows up on camera, but I can see we've got a number of lights in the studio, and I hope they're showing up okay. But these are definitely tossing out a lot of pink light, but they still very much look blue. I don't know. On our TV, Brett, you and I don't have like a prayer of seeing that on our TV. But can you see it in person?
Yeah, the television we use as a monitor is large because it's far away, but it's not very bright, and its color fidelity is quite poor.
We got like a sick deal on them or something, right?
Yeah, there was a startup that went out of business, and we swooped in and
It's just
bought a
little Silicon Valley stuff.
Silicon Valley startup crashing.
Yeah, just a normal kind of thing around here.
That's like how it goes. Yeah. Nobody buys new office furniture in Silicon Valley. You just wait for some startup to go out of business, and then
you buy theirs.
You go over to their garage, you buy their old stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's like not. It's win-win a little bit.
It's normal.
It's a win-win. The bad part already happened. It's not our fault, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and you can sympathize with them a little bit.
Yeah. So, are you gonna load that up, or should I? Or
load what up?
No, when you're sympathizing with them and you're saying, yeah, no, that's too bad. So, you want to give me a hand? Need to get to my car.
Oh, that's right. Oh yeah. Sorry that happened.
All right. Well.
All right, cool. Let's evacuate your office and be way below market rate for all your furniture.
Exactly. But you know, like it's weird that we have a bad TV with color. We fixed it before. I feel like we had it going. We had it going for a little while.
I don't know. It's a television. It does its thing.
It's a television. It does its thing.
That's what it needs to do. It needs to display stuff for us. We're not. We've learned to adapt.
Yeah, we've adapted. So hopefully you guys could see it a little bit, see the color shift a little bit, and hopefully you'll see it on the camera. I love the color shift look on things, and I'm always kind of looking for an excuse to do it.
Right.
There aren't a lot of good ones, and if you find yourself kind of making one up and like really forcing it, you might not like what you end up with. Something I guess I would say I've found. I've definitely done some color shift on things, and I'm like, I don't know if that. I made a Necron kill team with the blue raspberry color, and it's fine, but it's just it kind of shuts everything else down. So it's like those are color shift Necrons.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Can I tell you something cool, Zach? One of the things that I've learned since starting to hobby with you regularly that I had not really internalized before this is the fact that you can use as your panel lining or sort of recess wash. It doesn't have to be black. In fact, it shouldn't be black. It should be some darker version of the color that your model is. And so we're using Draconov Nightshade here to recess wash
around the
blue models. But in the Discord today, I was chatting with Umi, who was doing some Kroot, and he had painted them green, and he was he just used Nuln Oil to recess wash in the Kroot skin. And one of the things we talked about was like, you can use like Agrax, or you can use like a dark green wash or some sort of colored wash to recess wash these models. And that's like not a piece of advice I would have been able to give like even a year ago, because I just didn't realize I didn't know that. But this is a great like this is like a great thing that I just want to mention because it's not something that I had really realized before, known before, that like, yeah, Nuln Oil is good, but it's not the only wash out there. And having a handful of different shades that you can, washes that you can apply to different colored models is actually like really powerful tool.
Kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. I actually don't know that I have any, well, actually we're gonna use a little Nuln Oil on these guys when we do the gold. And actually a lot of people don't use Nuln Oil on gold. They'll use either purple or blue.
Right.
But I don't like that look for some reason, or at least I haven't been able to get it to work for me. I kind of like the Nuln Oil look on gold, but I know a lot of people use purple to wash gold.
Yep.
Which we just talked about looks good.
Looks good with gold.
Okay, folks, we're on to the start
Here we
of the
go.
show. So metallic Craftwork pen.
The big moment.
The recesses and the kind of not recesses really, but the areas have been washed. And what we're gonna do now is take the Craftwork pen, and this one's one of the old ones. You're gonna know if it's doing what it's supposed to do for you, because this is gonna go on right away. There we go. Very intense. Now, while you're doing it, and I'm actually gonna stop here in a second once I finish this leg. While you're doing it, I'll say, well, I'm gonna, head. Okay. While we're doing it, I'll say a few things for you to think about. First, there are some thin areas that you're gonna have to do, and the Bandoliers Craftwork pen is not super thin. Actually, you guys can see what it looks like.
Yeah, it's got a pretty fat tip.
Yeah. So while you're doing this, here's the mental tool I sort of use to think about going over, if I need to go over like through a very thin area. The thought process, excuse me, that I use is I think I need to pull up on the pen. I need the pen to be, its elevation to increase really, right? Like this is pretty thick down here, so I'm good. But here along the front of the leg, it's some kind of tiny stuff. And so I'm going to just be a little more gentle as I do it. And by gentle, what I mean is like, again, I'm sort of thinking, I'm pulling up on the pen, so I'm not pressing down at all. And I'm letting it just sort of glide across the top when I do these kind of fine areas. Now, the second thing I was going to say, and I'm going to stop when I'm done the legs and prep this for myself, is we're going to get an eraser ready. And an eraser is, this stuff will come off quite easy when it's wet. And it stays sort of wet for a little while. And even then it actually will come off pretty easy. In fact, we're going to, it's sort of weird, but we're actually going to seal the model.
Yeah, we're gonna apply a varnish.
Yeah, we're gonna varnish things after this step, believe it or not, which is odd. Normally you would not do it halfway through the painting the model, but we have to because otherwise our fingers are gonna take this off. Yesterday I was producing the game and this topic came up and I was kind of teasing what we'd be doing here today with the Bandoliers pen, and some people were saying that they like to use Sharpie for it. Sharpie works as well. I actually find that the Craftwork pen works a little bit better. It goes on a little more thickly in a way that's like vivid, not like thick as in messy. And the Sharpie pen also comes off really easily. So if you were going to try this with the Sharpie, I would say definitely if you're doing a Sharpie, sorry guys, I'm like concentrating like crazy and trying to talk to you guys at the same time. If you're doing it with a Sharpie, you would absolutely have to do the seal process. Okay, let me show you guys how to prep an eraser for this. So the eraser that you're gonna prep is you're gonna use a paintbrush. It doesn't have to be a nice one. And you're just gonna have it wet. And you're gonna have it nearby. And the second part to your eraser is gonna be a Q-tip. And what you're gonna do is, if you get any of the marker on an area that you really don't want it to be on,
yeah,
you're just going to real quick get the wet brush and kind of wet that whole area. It'll all turn into a slurry silver, like gold, shimmering mess. And then you're going to, after that, just clean it up with the Q-tip.
Because these are acrylic paints, essentially, right? It's an acrylic pen?
The Baoki? I don't know.
I think it says...
I don't think it's oil.
It says, yeah.
What's it say on the box?
Water-based ink. Okay. So yeah, so it's maybe not acrylic, but it's water-based.
So it cleans up with water easily.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so adding water will dilute it.
So yeah, adding water just turns into a diluted mess. And it'll look like when you do it, if you do the eraser, if you need to use it, which you might, you'll be like, oh my gosh, what have I done? But then you're just gonna like clean the whole thing up with a Q-tip or a cotton swab or something like that. So, okay, this guy's coming along pretty good. Where are you at, Brett? Oh, we're still doing that? Okay, no, that sounds about right.
How much time do you want me to spend on panel lining with Drakenhof Nightshade?
Not a ton. Yeah.
Or recess washing, I guess.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, not a ton. And here's the deal. Other stuff we're doing, as I'm doing the pen work here, we will also be washing the gold. And when we go to wash the gold, we can actually kind of blend that wash can fall where the nightshade is.
Right.
It's non-oil, like we were just talking about, but it'll still look good. So it's not something we're actively going to do, but if it's a mistake that happens, or we can actually use it even to clean up our areas that we feel need a little more shading. In other words, if you want to think about this way, the rubric is shaded with both, mostly Drakenhof is like the main one on its blue, but we also have non-oil, and we can kind of use them somewhat interchangeably. I don't like the blue on the gold.
Yeah.
But if the non-oil gets on their blue armor, it still looks pretty good. It's not going to be anything that anyone's going to look at and go, wait, what happened here? The rubrics have a very distinctive kind of faceplate. Definitely want to make sure we get that. Actually, this guy's plate looks a little different than any of the ones I did earlier today. Okay. So gold, gold, gold. I like to start on the legs and work my way up and kind of hold him down here by the feet. Myself, and then get the back of the headdress. A lot going on the headdress.
Yeah, these are really busy, but that's sort of the focal point of the model. So you want to make sure to, give it its due.
Yeah, and if you do this, what you're going to find is this is actually an oddly forgiving army, believe it or not, because the models are insane. They're beautiful models. For your infantry to be these guys. I mean, this is like, in the 90s, this would be like the insane hero of a fantasy army, would have this much detail. And in this army, this is just like, this is your rank and file dude, right?
Yeah.
So for that to be the case is saying a lot. This is an insanely beautiful army at the infantry level, at the lowest level. And so, not the lowest level, I guess, but the smallest, the most minute level. Okay, so there he is, and we do have one different thing that we're going to do. Some of these guys, about half of them have like these bandoliers.
Right.
And I do the bandoliers in silver, using the silver pen. These bandoliers are, I guess, I don't know. I've only ever painted, I think, Thousand Sons Marines, because I do have a Thousand Sons Heresy army, and I remember doing 1 billion of these bandoliers. I guess they had gold kind of trim on them.
Silver's good. Well, your Heresy Thousand Sons are red, right?
They're red, yeah. That is the original color of the 15th Legion before they all buddied up with Tzeentch. Okay, the headdress, hopefully you guys can see. Yeah, I think the zoom will show us. The headdress has these little details, and again, we're just going to be really careful. We're going to kind of let the pen fall down carefully and find it for us. I'm almost using, to be honest with you, I wear contacts, and it actually makes seeing things up close kind of hard sometimes.
It's also called getting old, Zach.
Yeah, maybe, but my contacts don't help. Like this morning and yesterday when I was working on these guys, Typically when I paint, I keep them out.
Oh, interesting.
If I'm doing models. Like something like this, I would keep this. I would keep them. My preference would be to keep them out.
They make bifocal contacts?
Do they? Are you telling me?
That's what I'm asking.
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
I think they do.
That's interesting. I should maybe.
I think my father wore them. They have this weight in the bottom that like makes sure that they orient the correct way, so they're not sort of radially symmetric.
Oh, okay, I see.
And so that they hang the right way, so that way the bottom is. I think that's the case.
Now, okay, so this guy's done. I mean, he's not done, but he's done with the. He's done. We're done. Craftwork penning him. Can I get another one of the
sure.
Rubric Marines?
Here you go.
So this is again. We're saying like this is the worst part of Rubric Marines, and
you just did one of them in like 10 minutes.
yeah. So it's not awful, but it's still a little time consuming. I will say that.
There's some work, and it is the part that sort of people notice the most. So you want to make sure to put the time in that the model requires to get it to look good.
Right, and this is sort of what I was saying, like, when we get to our first point where I'm like, okay, you could stop, you'll see, like, it honestly looks pretty striking, and what I was sort of getting at is, you can pat yourself on the back for that, but a lot of that comes from just the fact that the model is beautiful, and you highlight it, like Brett said, you highlight the parts that it deserves to be highlighted, and frankly, like, that's going to be enough to be on a tabletop. You're not going to win any golden demons. You're probably not going to win any kind of painting competitions with it when we get to our first drop-off point. But you'll look at it and you'll be able to say like, oh, cool, like, yeah, there's a 1,000
You're not going to
Sons.
feel bad about fielding the army, and you'll feel great about having done it in a week.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, like, you can always go back and clean up, touch up, and add.
Totally.
Yeah, which people I don't think always realize, right? Like, even after you've sealed something, you still keep working on it.
You can still keep working on it. This is honestly how I like get past my analysis paralysis with this stuff. Is I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna like or if I want to tackle, or it just feels daunting doing the chipping or the highlighting or the edge work or whatever detail piece I'm sort of feel anxious about. Mm-hmm. I just and so like I'm tempted to just not start a project because of that.
Yeah.
I just say I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to do like the blocking. I'm going to do the easy stuff. I'm going to get through the bulk of it, and then later I can come back to that later, and it makes it less scary.
You can always start over. You can always, which is
that's super painful.
It is, but you can do it. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Like you can do it. And it does stink, but you can make a big project. You can really use an opportunity to grow. Try airbrushing if you haven't. That's what I did. I stripped all my towel and started all over again because I didn't want to spend like $1,000 on new towel when I had plenty. And you're never going to get anything from it if you try to sell them on eBay or anything like that, right?
Right.
So I stripped them all, and I was like, all right, well, might as well also take this opportunity to airbrush.
To learn how to airbrush.
Yeah.
All right, we've got another super chat from Broken Chef. Thank you, Broken Chef. I mega appreciate the streams and the efforts of all the Titans in the community. I felt a little isolated today, but a hobby stream is helping with the funk. Well, I'm sorry to hear you're not feeling great today, Broken Chef, but glad to have you with us and glad to be, hopefully you're hobbying along and making some progress on one of your projects. And even if not, glad to have you hanging out with us.
Yeah, I had a quote from an author a couple weeks back, written out here on the paper when Bridger and I and Brett, you were there, and Adrian, when we were doing the Beast Claw Raiders, because they were a destruction army, and the quote was, "In a time of destruction, create something." And I think it's a great quote, right? Not like if you are feeling crappy and you just like sit down and do your best on a model and finish something. If you're feeling crappy, that's not a good time to be like, all right, let me see if I can get my Sotar Zenenthal skills up to par here
Right.
on my Necron Knight side there. Let me see if I can do Magnus's skin right now. Like, don't do that. Do something you know you can do and you've been putting off, and you say, all I have to do is sit down and paint a crisis suit, build a crisis suit, right? Like, sit down and build a crisis suit. If you can take crappiness and a feeling of crappiness and like and make something, that's like great, right? I don't think that's
completely
just me.
agree. Yeah, I tend to separate my projects into projects that require sort of creative, like high like mental thought, and projects that just require execution.
Yes.
And when I'm in a down mood, I pull out one of those projects that just requires execution, and just crank away at it. It just becomes a mechanical rote thing, and you do put on a movie, put on a YouTube video, and at the end of a couple hours, you've moved the needle, and can feel good about that, which is it's cool.
Exactly. Yeah. Just doing something that you know, hobby-wise, creation-wise, you know you're good at, you know you can do. Totally agree.
Yeah.
That's the time to do that.
All right, Zach, I've got these guys recess washed. And so maybe I should, oh, you know what? I've got the torsos recess washed. I don't have the shoulders. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on,
let me pass those back to
work
you.
on shoulders and work on arms and backpacks.
Awesome, thank you. And I will keep Craftwork penning.
Craftwork penning, division of labor.
Yeah.
So our goal for tonight is to have 5 of these boys finished. Right?
Yeah.
In one evening.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And again, like we discussed, we've got some jumping off points, and maybe we don't. We'll see how we're doing on time. Maybe we don't get to the glow effect today. I know somebody was asking about it. We'll do it. We've done it before in other streams, and in fact, that's also something we should bring up. Right, Brett and I are working on, mostly Brett, but we're working on putting some of our old streams up that were on Tabletop Titans back onto our channel.
Moving them over, yeah.
So you guys might wake up one day, if you subscribe or you follow us and see that there's like 5 new hobby streams that you, or be like, oh my god,
I missed
5 hobby streams overnight. They're just old, back from May and June, before we switched over to being our own channel. Dude number 2 is done, cruising along here.
Number 2 is done. Yep. Josh Dennis, thank you very much for the donation. I'm doing my SO Termines. Do you know what that is? SO. Is that a Thousand Sons thing?
Scarab Occult.
Scarab Occult Terminators. The old-fashioned way while watching. How do the markers behave for larger segments, say Mauler Fiend trim?
Great. They work great. But again, like, I wouldn't just do the marker, Josh. You also need to get in there and do a little bit of wash, which we're going to do today. We're not doing any particularly large. Well, we're going to do the staff on the Aspiring Sorcerer with the pen. That's got some kind of slightly larger flat areas. They work great. I mean, they're really strong coverage. They're like a really good Games Workshop base coat metallic. Like, they just go on. The consistency is always the same because it's coming right out of the marker. Don't need to use a wet palette. I didn't even bring a wet palette today, actually. I don't think I need one. Yeah, I don't need one. Yeah, you can use it in large areas as well. I've done this, as a matter of fact, frequently on terrain. But if you're saying you're doing it the old-fashioned way, which makes me think you're not airbrushing, which is fine. If you are airbrushing, though, then generally I would, like, you're always kind of thinking, like, what's the best tool for the job, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he means that he's doing an old scheme, like an old paint scheme. Scheme scheme. I feel like this should be a renowned conversation that we have. Anyway, paint scheme or new, maybe his comment of doing it the old-fashioned way is in relation to the paint scheme. Maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. The markers, though, if you're not airbrushing, and you're just brushing, you're painting the whole thing by hand, the markers still work fine. You can still use them. They interact with hand painting just fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, a little mistake there. So let's do
Get the eraser.
do an eraser here. By the way, the eraser is not, so you can see I'm like almost spreading it and making more of a mess at first, and it looks like really scary. But then you just take, that's a wet Q-tip. Then you just take a dry Q-tip and clean it up. There you go. Now you can also go back and clean up with, make sure you wash your brush because it'll have the one used for the eraser. It'll have the marker on it. You can also go back and do cleanup. And in fact, I'm going to do cleanup on not only these guys later on, probably off camera, but I'm going to do cleanup on the ones we even showed for the video. And I did a little cleanup on one of them already. And cleanup for me meant going back actually with the first color, believe it or not, Cool Ranch, with a brush, making sure it's kind of thin and just carefully, layer by layer. The cleanup can take a little while, but fortunately you won't have too many areas where you have to do it. Just kind of going area by area and just coating with Cool Ranch. And it will just knock out any kind of silvers or golds.
Yeah, and we haven't gotten to it yet, but we're going to do a sort of a dry brushing step at the end.
Yes.
As a stand-in for edge highlighting almost, but also not really. We'll get to it in a little bit. But yeah, you're basically just cleaning up some of the messiness of the dry brushing. Of
the way we're going to do that.
Yeah.
Excuse me, guys. Yeah, we're going to do that. Actually, we'll get there in a little bit. We're going to use a makeup brush, which is just a really soft, like a big soft makeup brush. We're just going to do it really quick, which is going to look scary, like it's going to ruin the whole model. But because the makeup brush is so soft, and because we're going to do it really soft with barely any paint in the makeup brush, it's going to just like, it's going to catch only mostly the edges, but not entirely. It'll hit maybe some areas we don't want, or it also kind of gives the steel and the metal like a, what is that, varnished, tarnished, not tarnished. There's like a tarnish that starts with a B, right?
Burnished.
Burnished?
Yeah, burnished. Yeah.
Give it like a burnished look.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound right.
Well, Chad will tell us if we're wrong.
Oh my gosh. Chad will tell us if we don't
I think it's burnished.
If we don't have vocabs beyond 11th grade. Honestly, like 8th grade.
Yeah.
Probably. 11th grade's a stretch.
And then I guess maybe you talked about this already, but this recess washing that I'm doing is actually like I'm being really sloppy with it because I know that I'm basically recess washing the areas that are the transitions between where Zach's about to do the gold pen and the sections that are going to remain blue. And I'm erring on the side, like I'm totally fine to just let the Drakenhof Nightshade get onto the sections that we know are going to get painted gold with the pen here in a second. And so that really speeds up this step because it means that I don't have to pay anywhere near as much attention about my brush control and just kind of slop it all over the sections that are going to be gold. And as long as I get it exactly where in the crevice that I'm after, the sort of the overspray on the side of the gold, on the gold side is totally acceptable.
Yep. So what you're doing, really what Brett's saying is like, you're going to get a clean look, but you get to be messy while you're doing it.
That's right.
Because you're just being thoughtful and taking advantage of the steps.
And I feel like that's a big part of your style of painting is like, once you develop a process, you understand the order of operations, and you design that order of operations so that, you paint the things in the correct order so that you can be as messy as possible with as many of the steps as possible, because then, each messy step will have its messiness fixed by the next step, essentially. Does that make sense?
Exactly, yep. Yeah. Okay, I'm on dude number 4 of 5, so let's see. Oh, do we have our, I can check my watch. Yeah, we're doing pretty good on time. And these are the 2 longest steps that Brett and I are on here.
Oh, can you lean back a little bit?
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, after this, we're gonna kind of knock out the rest of these guys pretty quickly, and you can see the guys here. I mean, I don't know how good your guys' view is, but like you can kind of see these guys right here. again, if you were just like, hey, I just want to get 3 colors on the dude and go, this could almost be your first jumping off point. I wouldn't love this jumping off point myself, but I wouldn't judge somebody. And if I showed up with my army that I've put a lot of work into, and this was on the other side of the table, and it was based well, I'd be happy to play it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, chat's in favor of burnished.
Burnished.
It is, Cody has looked up the definition. Burnished is what happens when you burn a copper or brass type metal. So it's like a heat effect.
That's not actually what I am talking about then, and that was my bad. I've done that actually on my 30K Thousand Sons. We did that kind of burnished look on my rotor cannons. Thousand Sons are into rotor cannons. It's kind of like their thing, one of their things. But I guess maybe I do mean tarnished. I think tarnished.
Tarnished?
I guess.
Okay, that's fine. That's a thing too.
So anyway, the makeup brush will give the gold, will give everything kind of like a tarnished look, which I'm cool with on the gold. I don't like as much on the blue, personally. So I go back and I clean off, when we do the makeup brush, you'll see, I'll show the cleaning step, and it's pretty easy. But it is a step you don't have to take if you're okay with it on the metal, on the blue. But I personally would do it on the blue. Now the other thing, Brett, we need to do today is check out some fan stuff.
Yeah, do you want to do that now?
Yeah, why not?
This is the part of the show where we've been painting gold things for a long time, and you guys are probably sick of seeing it. So we're going to take a break from that and look at some of your contributions.
I'll say a few things as I pick these out.
Yeah.
One, first of all, I definitely need to, Brad, I need to bug you more during the week and have you grab some favorites. I picked these ones out. There's too much good stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing how much amazing work you guys are sharing in Discord.
Originally, and this is still the case, but I just want to clarify. Originally, I was like, hey, share stuff that's not finished. Is whatever you share. We're going to look and see things that interest us. And that is what we've been doing. But oh my gosh, there's been so much stuff that's like finished, and the level of the pictures has gone better.
Yeah.
Some of you guys are doing my ask, which is to put your username or something.
Yeah, share your username on the photo.
And a lot of people still aren't, which is totally fine. But oh my gosh, there's so much stuff that's just like crazy good. Honestly, like it's insane. Actually, you know what I need to add to this is the note to ask people to put their name on, like not their name, but their like whatever they go by on Discord or here on their YouTube chat if they want to go by that. Anything to attribute you would be awesome.
Yeah, and just if you're new, what we do is every week before the show, we log into the Tabletop Titans Discord, browse through the hobby sections. There's hobby progress, there's like a finished products channel, and there's a terrain channel. And so we just kind of go through those channels and find some pictures of your work that, finished or works in progress is totally fine. And pick out a few of ones that catch our eye and share them out to you guys. So let's take a look at what we have today. So this segment we like to call, okay, we didn't actually ask him, but we think John would really like these.
And there he is. Like, he's thumbs upping.
He's thumbs upping. So the thing I like about this picture is the color scheme.
Yes. That's what obviously, right?
Classic Ford GT.
Yeah, so such a good look. This is crazy. I can't. Again, it's hard to remember who it is, but that previous one. We'll cycle through these and talk about them a few times. That previous one, the Sylvaneth model he painted was a recent model, and then the other one was one of their first ones. and just showing the difference in time. And man, that Sylvaneth model, when that comes back around, definitely check that out. This thing is crazy.
Oh my
this
gosh, that
Magnus.
warp
There's
effect.
a 30K Magnus. Here's a little, what is this?
Battlefleet Gothic,
Battlefleet Gothic.
Eldar ship. Yeah.
Gray color scheme.
Yeah.
It's gonna come back. Okay, this is in work in progress,
Yeah.
and it's looking. I'm into this.
I'm into it. Yeah, the texture work on the actual wood. I think that's balsa wood.
Yeah, I'm super into wherever that's going. I have
Yeah.
no idea what this thing is, but it looks awesome.
Some kind of Nurgle
It
monster.
sort of reminds me. It sort of reminds me of something from Futurama. I want to say. I don't know. It kind of looked like that.
This is a crew collection,
Yeah,
so
you saw
it's
this, huh?
kind of amazing. Yeah, it's a whole Tau army that he's converted using Kroot models, and they're like basically Kroot that have killed their Tau companions.
Which I'm not like into as
Yeah.
far as background goes, but
Right. But the modeling possibilities are kind of amazing.
are super cool, and
Yeah.
he's done an amazing job with it.
Yeah. All right. So we're back around to the beginning. We can talk about the ones we didn't get to.
This table, this is I
table
don't,
looks
I
amazing.
know, we need to almost slow the rotation down.
Yeah.
The table looks great. I don't actually make like non-movable tables myself.
Right.
Here's that Sylvaneth model I was talking about. Look at this thing, crazy.
That's amazing.
But the next one, Melody and Chad. This is actually these fell bats were painted by Megan, my wife. I thought they looked good, and she took a good picture. I wasn't being nepotistic, I promise.
Take his word for it.
This greater demon looks amazing.
Oh
as
my
well.
gosh. Yeah, that greater demon is so great.
Yeah.
This is, oh my
This
gosh.
Magnus
this
is out of
This
control.
Magnus is out of control. That warp rift and like whatever the heck is crawling through that, I can't unsee that. That's going to give me nightmares.
Yeah, I want to know. I also want to know what he did. Not almost. Definitely want to know the banner.
Yeah,
The
that's
Thousand
right.
Sons-
Yeah, the
Sons
banner. Oh my gosh.
Now this Custodes vehicle coming up. I love the green and gold.
Right. The green especially. Apparently this is called a Hypno Toad.
Yeah, it is from Futurama then. Okay, awesome.
This is from Futurama?
Yeah.
Oh.
I knew it had like a
had no
kind of
idea.
a matte graining look to it.
Yeah,
and
no, I agree. It looks like that, but I didn't realize that Futurama had miniatures.
Me either. Yeah, I put 2 pictures up of that crude army. It looks so
Yeah,
great.
that's amazing.
It's incredible. Here's this thing.
That green,
So
I can't tell
good.
if that's faded or if it's just the lighting, but the green looks so, like the fact that the green is so matte and the gold is so glossy,
Super cool.
I'm really into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, so thanks everyone. Just one more time, here's our shameless plug to take pictures of your work from the week, post it in the Discord, and we'll pick a handful of our favorites, or not even necessarily our favorites, just ones that catch our eye, and share them out, and we can chat about them a little bit. That was fun.
There's not just saying this, but there is. I did this today, a couple hours ago, and over the week I check in and look at a few, and I'll see a few, and it's almost like people went crazy that like right before like the past like 2 days,
Yeah,
and I just logged in. I was like, oh my gosh,
so much.
I try to keep it to like. At first, I was like, I'll do like 8, and then like the next day was like 12 next week, and now, or it was like 10, and today I was like, maybe 12, I don't know. So yeah, at some point we'll have to call it, but
I thought so. Meg originally posted those bats in the meme channel on accident, and so I thought I was this close to posting a comment that was like, Meg, if you want these to be a meme, you have to have them actually fallen, like they tripped and fell, and then they are appropriate to post in the meme channel. But as is, these bats are upright, they are standing and flying and
not
having fallen. But I don't know, is that a meme or is that a pun? How much difference is there between memes and puns? Probably not that much. Anyway.
I'm not sure.
What are you working on, Zach?
I am just finishing up some gold trim on this dude. Yeah.
That's your last dude, even.
It is my last dude.
All right, let's take a look at your last dude.
So just hitting some areas around his arm. especially this arm, because it's not going to have crazy glow effect. When you're doing any of these guys, be thinking about, like, is the area I'm about to work on going to actually be seen, or is it going to get covered up by something?
Yeah, and if you're Zach and it's going to be covered up, you should not paint it. And if you're Brett and it's going to be covered up, you should just paint it anyway, because you're a glutton for punishment.
Well, the thing is, like, these guys don't have their shoulder pads on them yet, right? Like, they don't have their shoulder pads, they don't have their backpacks. There's a bunch of stuff not on these guys that we're going to have to get to. So there they are so far. This is the bodies, the bulk of them completed here. So I'm going to do a couple things now before we actually hand these guys back to Brett, and he's going to seal them for us. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do the staff and the pen.
Okay.
The pens as well. And somebody was asking earlier about like larger areas. This will kind of fall into that, and you're going to see when we're finished with it, there's more we're going to do to this than just the pen. Because the pen itself, while its coverage looks great, it's just like a very flat like look of like somebody who just only put paint and didn't do any shading or highlighting or anything like that. So obviously, just because you're using a pen doesn't mean you get to take shortcuts like that, guys.
Come on, guys.
It's not it's not in the spirit of the Baoki Craftwork pen.
The spirit of the Baoki Craftwork pen.
Yeah, says that you don't get to just take shortcuts.
No shortcuts, just
because
it's a pen.
I'm a giant shortcut.
Yeah, that's right.
This is the only shortcut on your model.
Yeah, like the shortcut is using the pen.
Yeah.
So apparently there are not actual
Futurama
models. Yeah.
Somebody just converted a Hypnotoad.
Yep, that's right.
Which is awesome. Really quite awesome, actually.
All right. How are we doing?
Pretty good.
I'm on to backpacks.
Oh, nice.
And then after backpacks are done, I just have arms left.
Oh yeah, and those will go pretty quick.
Those will go quick. I've noticed I only have 4 arms here.
That's right. The aspiring sorcerer has both of his arms on him.
Got it. Okay. Oh, and they all also already have 1 arm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So 4 is exactly what you should have.
Is the correct number.
Is the correct number. So here we go, doing the beetle. Brett, if we want to show this,
yep.
I'll just... and so you can actually even kind of get like recess showing on some of these larger areas with the beetle, if you're kind of clever with how you use the pen. But I'm not too worried about it, because I'm also going to wash this. And quite frankly, maybe not today, but at some point I'm going to probably blast this beetle with neon light all over it anyway. So, but you can see it actually does do a pretty decent job of like catching edges and like leaving recesses. Especially if you let it. If you do push, it'll go into your recesses. But if you have kind of deep ones like this beetle does here around this area, there you go. Looks pretty good. A little sloppy in some areas, and so we're going to clean that up. By the way, haven't gotten to this yet. I actually have for you guys a paint that looks good. That's a good match for this, and a paint that is a good match for the silver. So we'll look at that in a second. They're both from Turbo Dork. The gold is this guy right here, Pucker. And we're not actually going to use this today, but you could have this on hand. If you're going to do this and do a whole army with this, I'd grab at least 1 bottle of this, probably just 1 bottle, and have it handy, because it is a good match for the Baoki Craftwork pen. And then Tin Star is pretty much a dead-on match for the silver.
Nice.
So if you need to like get into an area where the pen's not going to cut it,
yeah,
you can use that, and it's pretty indistinguishable.
Yeah, if you want to get like a really tiny little, use a detail brush.
Exactly. Okay, so the bodies are done. What else is done over there, Brett, that I can do a little metal?
Do you want to do shoulder pads?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to do shoulder pads, and they're super easy to do. Oh, man, I love this little purple on these guys. Oh, yeah, looks fantastic. I love color shift paints. But I think this is like the perfect application of color shift paints, like this level. Really, really into this level of
yeah.
Not like overdoing it with the color shift paints. Again, I think they can be kind of like, I almost want to use the word a crutch. I think they can kind of be a crutch if you are using them to like just be like, hey, here's my army. It's all color shift. Color shift is cool.
Right.
I'm done.
Yeah, I feel like it can be a little bit gimmicky. Mm-hmm. When I first heard of Turbo Dork, I was like, wait, really? They like made model paints that are that like thing that they use on cars. I don't even really like that thing on cars. And then how is it gonna like translate to something that's 1/1000th the size? You know, like, am I really gonna like look at it from 3 different angles? And am I gonna even be able to tell the difference? And, you know, like, is it gonna make an impact, or is it just like a meme, right? Like, oh, my army's color shifty.
Right.
And I feel like,
you mean like somebody doing a stealth suit by not putting a stealth
yeah,
model?
but like,
Like,
hey,
he's
yeah,
invisible.
like I put no model on my. Here's an empty base. Yeah, it's a stealth. Like, okay, cool, I get it. It's funny, but like, then you're like, all right, but how do I actually draw a line of sight to that thing?
Right.
But yeah, I feel like this is, well, 2 things. One, if there's any army that makes sense for color shift paints, this is it. And then 2, like, don't go like crazy with it, just like a little bit and be selective with it. And it can look good.
Yeah, and they have branched out. I mean, so again, I actually think the big. By the way, I've met the Turbo Dork guys. And it's a family, and all of them are awesome. But what I will say is we don't take money from them or anything, right? We don't do that because no one's offered anyway. So there's that part, and we're fine with that because we don't really want to. But what I will say is I think their metallics are really like where it's at, honestly.
Just their normal metallics.
Yeah, their color shifts are great. Like I'm really loving actually how these shoulders came out. They came out better than the ones I did earlier, or I think I actually did the shoulders yesterday. And I think it's probably because I put 2 layers on instead of just one.
All right, let me see. I'm gonna zoom in on you there. Cool. All right, so you did all of that. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't miss the whole thing.
Yeah. But their metallics are just insane. Like they have so many different colors, and they actually do have some colors that would be awesome even for like Tau. There's kind of like a I forget what it's called. It has like a foresty name. It's like they have these packs that they released, and one is like a natural one, and it has
Natural metallics?
yeah.
That's
Well,
weird.
kind of things just based off nature. So like there's like this, I forget what it's called. There's like a green one that color shifts brown.
Oh, interesting.
And I saw somebody do, I think, a ghost keel in it, and it looked pretty cool. But again, the thing is, it's like, then you lose out on a lot of other techniques that can really make a model look awesome.
Right.
When you do that. So you lose out on all kinds of things, like, you can still recess wash, and you can still edge highlight, but, the color shift is kind of always asking that you pay attention to it. And when you do that, I just feel like the color shift is, I don't know, it's so attention grabbing, but if all you're doing is airbrushing a bunch of color shift paint on like a big model, I don't know, you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah. Like, can you edge highlight with color shift paints? Sort of, maybe?
Yeah.
What does that even look like?
Again,
I don't know.
if people are on Facebook or Instagram, like follow Turbo Dork, like either join their club there or whatever, you'll see lots of work done by awesome people. A lot of people are painting like their Gundam models with it.
Yeah.
And that looks cool.
Yeah, I feel like Turbo Dork has a pretty big following outside of the GW space, and they're just sort of, I don't know if breaking into is the right word, but like starting to feel out their audience in the Warhammer world.
To me, the thing you're maybe it's
scale modelers.
It's a new company in general, but I will say this: like to me, what I've frequently said about Citadel paints is like they'll take some kind of color and just like ever so slightly be like, hey, here's a color that you kind of didn't know existed, but if you thought about it, of course you knew it existed, but like we're not making paint this color. No one else is making paint this color, right? I always kind of cite Incubi Darkness. I cite Cerbite Green, which is the color of my Tau, the Baja Blast color. Just something, just like a slight variation on something you'd expect from a line of paint. And Turbo Dork does that to me with their metallics. They have one called they have a color called Murple, which is like just this kind of like drab metallic purple. But then they also have like 3 other different metallic purples, right? So like you can tell they're taking a color and they're being like, what happens if we make just an insane amount of different variations, metallic variations on this color?
Yeah.
And so I really like that a lot about their line of paint. The reds I used, and it gives you a lot of areas it gives you metallics that you can like do exactly what we did here today, right? We did Cool Ranch, then we did Dada B, then we did Maguro, then we did just like a little bit of the color shift. It makes that an option, whereas in the past, it's like you only really had that option in other lines.
Right, or you had to mix your own.
Right. So I like that. When I did my orcs, they're like, I forget, red rum, which is like a deep red, and then the next one up is called Spicy Meatball.
The names are like worth the price of admission.
Yeah, I know, right? And then we're going to do a board shortly that uses their iridescent mother of pearl one.
Oh yeah, I'm actually very excited for this.
Right, which is called Mother Load, and we're going to use that all over a board that we're about to do. It's going to be, I hope, very beautiful. That's the goal, is to make a very beautiful board.
Nice. All right, so I'm just about done with these arms, which will mean I'm just about done with the shading.
Awesome.
What is my next step?
That's a great question. Actually, it's going to be to seal.
Seal?
Yeah.
I need to wait till the shade dries, right?
That's going to be, well, you're going to hand those to me because I might have to do a little bit of work, but these guys are all ready to go, ready to be sealed. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, and we're sealing this just so that we don't rub off the paint pen later.
Exactly, as we work on it, because it's odd, really, to seal now. Kind of odd to do that now.
Oh, those are probably still a little wet, so maybe do the backpacks first.
Oh yeah. I actually need to see what I colored gold on the backpacks. We have one of the. Okay, back here.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and seal some stuff here. So I've got these shoulder pads that Zach just finished putting gold trim on. I've got the bodies that Zach just finished doing gold trim on. And we're going to do some Vallejo matte varnish today. We use Tester's Dull Coat, but since it's a rattle can and we can't do that indoors, we're going to use this Vallejo matte varnish for these rubrics. And let's see how we do. So I'm going to go ahead and load up. And then I guess by the time I'm done with these guys, you should be just about done with those ones, right?
Probably. I'm guessing you can go a little faster than I can on these.
Yeah, that's probably true. Do you want me to help you with those, I guess?
You could.
Okay.
Let's see. I mean, I think we're doing okay on time.
We have some. Oh, burnished is not okay. Burnished. We have a correction on the definition of burnished. Highly polished by rubbing.
I think that's what I want. Then yes, that's what I want. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Thank you, Cobra and Errata, for the correction.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this I've only done a little bit of work with this matte varnish.
Oh gosh.
Well, so to my earlier comment, I frequently paint models to a tabletop standard and then leave sort of the last 10% for like 2 years. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to because I'm like excited to get the next unit painted up and I tend to be a slow painter. So none of my models have been varnished for a very long time until I got to the point where I could airbrush, and I was like, oh, like this is just a little bit of OSL or glow effect, or this little bit of like highlighting is what I needed to get this model to the state where I feel comfortable calling it finished,
Right.
and can then feel comfortable putting a varnish on. Because I also sort of incorrectly assumed / thought that you had to be done with a model to varnish it. And that's also like a common misconception. You can varnish, do a little bit more work, and then varnish again, totally fine. But yeah, it's a matte varnish, can go through an airbrush. And one of the cool things I like doing with this is you can do the whole model matte, and then if you want specific bits to be gloss, you can go with a paintbrush and use gloss varnish and just paint on gloss varnish onto specific areas like gems or lenses.
Yep.
And or I've seen people do like glossy blood. You could gloss varnish the blood. So there's like things you can do to give your model some visual interest by doing a difference in finish, gloss versus matte. But we're just going to do gloss today. But maybe at a later date, Zach, to your point, we could do like gloss varnish on his, spell effects or his OSL or something. That might
That might be interesting, actually. I should try that.
Fun to explore. But this stuff goes on kind of milky, and so like, when you first spray it, you can if you put it on thick, it's actually sort of okay to put on a little thick. You can have this moment where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm ruining my models. It's sort of okay that if it goes on milky and then it'll dry clear. So that's normal.
Now, while Brett's doing that, I'll give you guys another misconception, which is kind of funny. And this came up actually, of all places, in the Dork group, because a lot of people were kind of curious, like how people seal. What do they use to not? Because you can kind of mess up some of the vibrancy if you seal. And a couple of us were saying, bringing up the fact, I know I've said this and gotten some weird glares before.
I'm gonna zoom in on you, Zach.
Yeah, go ahead. Some weird glares before. But you don't actually, if you're ever like freaked out and you've got a really nice paint job, and you're like, man, I had a bad experience with a varnish, or I had a bad experience with trying to seal my models. One, I would say, I don't know that. Well, if you are airbrushing, I think that in general the airbrush ones are safer than the rattle can ones.
Yeah.
But I know Brian has a story about messing up his models with Tester's doll coat, and then people were like, well, you just hit it with the opposite and it will fix it.
Right.
With a clear coat. And he did, and it worked. But I will say, people also kind of assume you need to seal your models. And the reality is, in 2021, with modern paints and modern miniatures and modern primer, you don't.
Yep.
If you're using good primer, which a lot of us don't, or if you're using true model primer, not hardware store primer, you're using true model primer, okay, you're on plastic.
Yep.
And you're not playing. Now, if you are playing regularly, like in a blizzard, like in a blizzard or in a sandstorm.
Yeah, or if like you're on a Viking longship, like Adrian was in that dream.
Yeah, like if you're playing on a Viking longship, like Adrian and Brian, then you will want to seal your models, I think.
Yes,
or in
I think so.
rainstorms or hailstorms, anything like that. But if you're just playing normal and your models go from the shelf to the case to the gaming table and back, or just the case to the gaming table and back, or whatever, then you're probably safe to not actually seal your models, which I know sounds kind of freaky. So why do we hear so much that you seal your models? Well, in the hobbying and gaming community, we wisely listen to lots of older people. And in the 90s, when everyone was painting not very good paints on not very good primer on pewter miniatures.
Yes, pewter.
Then you needed every opportunity you could get to make sure the paint stuck on the model. And so sealing at the end makes sense. We seal our decks, we seal wood, because we don't want water to get into it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But modern stuff, you don't have to seal. Lots of the terrain, you guys see them play, and Adrian smash and stuff all over Tabletop Titans, not sealed with anything.
You monster, Zach.
Yeah, and it's fine. Holds up fine.
Maybe that's because you just haven't discovered this spray primer or spray varnish.
Well, maybe, but again, it's also just because it's not necessary
It doesn't need it.
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the main reason to varnish is to unify the sort of patina of the
Yes.
model across
Yes.
paint lines.
Exactly.
So if you have some,
This is good. This is a true point.
yeah, so if you have some paints that are shiny and some paints that are matte and you want it to all have the same look, then varnish is a great thing to do.
100% agree on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so this guy I put in a lot, and he's got a little bit of a milky look to him, but he'll dry up fine.
Awesome. Now I will say I didn't say. I asked Brett your favorite Space Marine.
Oh yeah,
chapter.
what's your favorite Space
Right
Marine
here,
chapter,
Thousand
Zach?
Sons.
Thousand Sons.
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely. I will agree. I think my favorite good guy chapter is probably also Salamanders. I think they're cool in addition to being like true good guys, which let's not kid ourselves, most loyalist chapters are not.
We're not good guys.
They're not really good guys. Right, working for the Imperium doesn't necessarily mean you're a good guy.
Nope.
So they're not. The Salamanders really are, though. I like that. I will say that reading a lot of the Thousand Sons stuff did give me an appreciation for Space Wolves, who I feel that a lot of these chapters, they're kind of they have like these surface layers of what makes them cool. And for me, the surface layer of what makes Space Wolves cool is not cool. It's kind of like they're based off Vikings, right? But when you actually go through and kind of read like their purpose and read a little deeper into them, I think that they became way cooler to me the more I got to read about them.
Yeah.
This has been the opposite with other factions. I'll tell you a faction that I was like, just like, I don't get this faction, and I'm gonna anger people here, I know, but is well, they're currently called Black Legion, and then they were Sons of Horse, and they were Luna Wolves. I was talking to this is about Adrian the other day. It's like, what are they good at? And people were like, shock assault. And I'm like, what is that? And people are like, they deep strike. All factions
do that.
They all
yeah.
deep strike. Like, what's their cool unit? They're Terminators. It's like Justarians. Like, what do they have? Like the same weapons all Terminators. I like the green is cool. I love the Sons of Horus colors. Those greens.
Right.
But
it's funny you mentioned that. I had a similar response, or when I was like, what is Black Legion? Like, I feel like most factions in the game have a shtick, have a thing.
No shtick.
And like, no, they're just like generic chaos guys.
We're
like super generic.
But what's crazy is when like you go, they're even more generic now than they used to be. But when you go back, you're like thinking that they'll get less generic, and they don't actually. Like, they're always just like, they're the first ones there. The Emperor liked them. The Emperor liked Horus. And then and then it's just like so.
It's quite the hot take.
It's so weird. They're this faction where I'm just like, really? Like what is going on with these guys? In the Heresy, I never quite got why people were into them. There are other ones that I'm like, I'm just not into that. Right? I'm just not into Iron Warriors. I'm just not into Iron Hands. I'm not into the Imperial Fist. Like,
you have anything for me to?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But as far as like, are they cool? What do they do? I never quite got. I never quite got them.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta say. Nobody asked for my least favorite Space Marine chapter, but
Curtis is painting pewter presently. Apologize, Curtis.
Yeah.
You should varnish when you're done.
That is such a thing where we're like in our hobby where we're like, it's like something older people did.
Yeah.
Like I did it. We've done it, right?
Yeah.
I've done it. I did it in the 90s. I've done it now. I did it as a kid. I'm doing it now every now and then, but I hate it. I don't do it whenever I can not do it.
Yeah, I feel like it adds something to the look that is just just like really, really great. Like it makes it look finished. It makes it look
What?
a matte varnish on a model.
Oh, okay. I thought you were
Yeah.
talking about metal models, and I was like, I think it's awful. I don't
Yeah.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think there's and it's something that I'd not really experienced before. And I was like, how do you get that sort of studio look? And I thought it had something, when I'd look at photographs online, I thought it had something to do with photography setup, a light box, I didn't really know what the thing was, and then I realized, oh, it's matte varnish. That's what it is.
It is, and I said you don't have to do it. I do it. I use Tesser's Doll Coat on my Tau, on my Eldar, on everything. Almost everything I do. But you don't have to technically, and I don't necessarily care about that look on all my terrain.
Right. No, that's a good point.
So I frequently don't do it on terrain. What I'm gonna do now is a little bit of quick and sloppy brushwork. I'm gonna turn our bolters and our Reaper autocannon.
Yeah.
Not this color
You're
anymore.
gonna do
blue.
gold paint. All right, let's take a
We're
look.
gonna use actually.
Can you lean back a little bit?
Yeah, we're gonna use Tin Star. This is the color that I said is very similar to the Baoki Craftwork pen, but I actually think, like in the case of this, I gave it a lot of thought, and I said, how is the fastest way I can get this gun finished? Is it with the Baoki Craftwork pen? Is it by masking and airbrushing Tin Star, or is it by just painting Tin Star on? And I think the answer I arrived at was it's by just brushing Tin Star on.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, I'm going to a little bit. I'm going to bret this bolter to some extent, but you don't really have to paint the back side of the bolter. It's going to be pressed up against a Rubric Marine's chest. But I would do a little bit of it, especially around the top.
It's super interesting. This gold pen, after having matte varnish applied to it, it almost just looks yellow, like yellow paint. It's like very, very matte.
Yeah, and so when it does. You're right. And when we wash it, which you can actually start doing if you.
You want me to start null oiling?
Sure.
Null oiling.
Yeah.
That's a mouthful.
Do we want to put any of those guys, see what they look like on the glam cam?
Yeah, let's
because I would say
guys up.
I would say this would be a spot that you could stop.
You could stop. No null oil. Just put them on a base. Call it good. Lots of talk and chat about pewter models. I don't know, Zach, have you ever painted a pewter model? Like literally in your life?
Pewter?
Yeah.
Are they? Is that like any metal model or actual pewter?
A metal model.
Yes. Most of my Vespid are.
Oh, I thought they were the.
No, actually, I think all of my Vespid are, and 5 of my Crutoxes.
Crutox, that's right.
All of my Hounds.
Okay.
Are metal. We had a guy in the area that some people, if you're in the Bay Area, will know this guy, and he passed away a couple years ago. Michael Derry. He was a good friend of all of us, and was just a very thorough collector. And he before he passed, whenever I would put a call out in our group and be like, hey, does anyone have any? I was looking for Vespid and Crute, and he just had a ton. He just had all of these old metal models. He'd been in the hobby since its beginning, since the 80s. So like
and he was the master of eBay finds too.
Yeah.
He would find somebody like getting rid of some collection, and he'd just buy all of it, and he'd use half of it for his army, and then he'd find other people in the area to take the other half.
Yeah. And so I ended up, he wasn't really pursuing Tau.
Right.
And so I ended up buying or trading off of him a lot of metal stuff.
Yeah. All right, let me show off where we're at with the Rubrics as they stand currently. So we've got metallics applied. We've washed the recesses with Drakenhof Nightshade, and we have done some trim with a Baoki pen. And then varnish them with matte varnish in preparation for this next wash step. And again, the matte varnish is not because we're finished here, although you could be. It's just mostly just so that we don't rub off the gold as we move on to the next step.
Yeah, well, yeah. You could be finished here, but we'll go the next few steps and kind of show you guys. I don't know. I think like where you can get each step you do now, in my opinion, adds a lot of value. So I would say if you can keep going. Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. These are the finishing steps that give it the extra little bit of punch.
Exactly. Now, of course, we said you could stop there. You would need to assemble them, right?
You would need to assemble them. Yeah. No.
Don't listen to Brett and I.
Here's my models. They don't stand up very well, but
And there's no guns.
and there's no guns.
Or arms for which to hold guns.
Yeah.
So you can see I'm just getting paint on the gun, on the Reaper autocannon. I'm like half leaving deep recesses black and half not worrying about that too much because I am also going to wash this whole thing. And the Reaper autocannon also you don't have to paint the back of because the guy is holding it across his chest. But I am going to paint much of the back anyway because from certain angles you could see it. And I don't want to be that guy, you know.
I approve, Zach. I have matte varnish on my fingers now, and it's this weird like rough.
Yeah.
It's this weird rough texture. It's so weird. It's such strange stuff.
I hate getting super glue on my fingers. Now, you're like, well, yeah, duh. But I mean, like, even after it's clean, right, and it's not sticky anymore.
Yeah.
And it has that, like, solidified feeling
Yeah.
on your fingers.
Yeah.
And you basically lose the ability to feel there. And it's, like, it's weird.
When you were a kid, did you ever put, like, Elmer's glue on your hands and then, like, peel it off for fun?
Maybe. Let me think about that.
All right, while you're thinking about that, where should I wash the gold trim with Nuln oil?
Great question. All kind of over.
Okay.
And, there are a lot of rivets.
Yep.
And we, like, the Nuln oil pulling around the rivet is a look we want.
Okay.
Yeah. And here, I'll give you this guy. You can kind of see. But, in general, like, wherever it's going to, like, on the shoulder pad, you can see.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Fun. Okay, so these guys are also now... Oh, these guys are... Right, not the Baoki pen. So we're good to paint on this. Okay, so...
Do you want to airbrush? Or do you want to varnish?
Oh, these haven't been varnished yet, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, the arms need varnish.
Is it still in here?
It is.
Actually, I've not done this before. Just kind of
I
spray it
know.
on.
Just kind of spray it on. You got it.
There's actually not a lot of Baoki pen on this, so it's kind of not super critical, but oops. Boom. And yeah, so you'll find that all the models, everything's going to take washes, all the processes are going to happen as normal, even after you've varnished it. So totally cool to do this bizarre scientific anomaly of varnishing a model midway through the process of painting the model.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, it's really fun. I personally would say that, like, thinking about your steps along the way and always categorizing your steps and saying, does that have to happen next? What happens if I mix the order up here? Is kind of, I don't know, it's a good idea. Like, you might be doing something you don't need to do. And you might be doing something in an order that doesn't make sense all the time.
This happens to me quite a lot, actually. I realize halfway through a process that, like, oh, this thing that I'm doing right now is going to be invalidated by the next step that I'm about to do. didn't need to do this.
You know, we see a lot of like painting, even direction coming from Citadel, from Games Workshop, where they're like, paint this very dark color on. Now paint this medium color on. Now paint this medium light color over top of it. And it's sort of like, but you guys also sell shades, right? So it's like, well, why am I covering every layer of paint up? And then, you know what I mean? Like, oh, the bottom layer shows through a little bit. Does it?
Does it? Does it
I don't
really?
know. Like,
I don't know.
yes, it's true. Like, we saw Adrian do orange over white. I've done orange over black. It's a very different look.
It is.
That's different, though, than building up 6 different oranges on top of each other, right?
Yep.
So I think sometimes it's similar to me saying, it's similar to talking about sealing the models, right? Like, sometimes we get advice that is advice that we've been always told. And I don't know.
Maybe it's not relevant anymore.
Maybe it's not relevant anymore.
Or maybe it's like, takes your model from like 99% to 100%. Is that 1% actually worth the like
exactly. There's a lot of
30 minutes per model it's going to take you to do on an army with 50 models in it?
There's a lot of that going around. Those, you know, I call those like the Instagram steps, right?
Yeah.
There's so many awesome painters on Instagram. We talked about this before, but like, are they playing? Are they fielding armies? Are they
playing the game?
2,000 point armies regularly?
No, of course not.
Like, right? Maybe not. Maybe they're just super amazing painters.
Well, maybe they are, but not. Those are not the models they're using to play with, right? They're not fielding 2,000 points of models painted to that standard.
Yeah, they don't have Adrian being like, hey, when are your Thousand Sons going to be ready? Are your Thousand Sons going to be ready?
Yeah, you guys don't know this, but Adrian's like literally right off camera right here, being like, hey guys, you done yet?
He's got like a
squirt gun?
Yeah.
Super soaker?
Yeah, I was gonna say like a stabbing implement. But
Oh, a
yeah,
goad?
he's got a goad.
Taser
A
goad?
taser goad. And he's just like, finish the Thousand Sons. Yeah. I don't know. But those armies are beautiful. I mean, like if somebody takes like years on their army and they're a really sick painter, whew.
Sick being a good sick.
A good sick,
Good
yeah.
sick being like a positive
Positive sick.
sick. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I haven't talked about what I'm currently doing. You may have noticed I just airbrushed a little bit of one of my favorite colors, XV88. Even less helpful in telling you that it's basically brown ochre than a Turbo Dork color. And what I'm doing and why I'm doing that is because I am painting up the loincloths for the Thousand Sons, and so for the Rubrics and the Aspiring Sorcerer. So I do, my recipe here is going to be XV88, then I'm going to do Terminatus Stone. This is similar to like a bone color, but it's like a cool. I actually have Ushanti bone.
Oh yeah.
And it's like Ushanti bone, but cool.
A little bit cooler.
A little bit cooler, not as warm. And I liked it with the blue on the Thousand Sons.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
And then we're actually going to use not Minotaur Skull White, believe it or not, but we're going to use Citadel White Scar
Okay.
a little bit, which also goes on
exciting.
pretty transparently.
And the point of the white is basically just a highlight for whatever. It's not, you're not putting a dot of white on your model. It is, you're spraying it through the airbrush to just lighten up whatever color's already there.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
it doesn't read as white on the model.
We're sort of, yes, like when we do that on my Eldar or
Yeah.
Tau or like a gray, like you do it on your gray Tau a little
Yep,
bit, right?
yep.
Yes, but here it's going over Terminatus Stone, which is like almost
white.
almost white. So
Right.
actually, I think it kind of could read as white.
Got it.
If
Right.
that
well,
makes sense.
Yeah, because the lighter version of that color is essentially white.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, you are.
I'm non-oiling.
You're non-oiling.
Null-noiling.
Is that guy done?
This guy is null-noiled.
Let's have a look.
He's noiled
Yeah,
with null.
He's looking good. Oh man, this looks great, Brett. I'm gonna have you do this. This is gonna be a Brett step because this looks very good. Let me show you guys. Yeah, let's put him in the glam cam. He's still not on the base.
Tell me more about this.
What's that?
The step that you're gonna have me do.
Well, no, it just looks really good. I think you did a better job of it than I did earlier today. So remember, we keep saying like you could stop at any point. Non-oil, non-oil. Oh my gosh. Here, let me start him here. Okay, non-oil, not non-oil.
You can turn it off, Zach. You can turn off the turntable.
Oh yeah, but the loud beeping.
Yeah, it already happened once today. It was everyone loved it.
Everyone loved the loud beeping.
Yeah.
Okay, again, kind of showing you steps along the way. Here's another step, I think, where you could bail. You could say, I'm done. I'm taking this guy. I would put eyes on him, which we can actually do pretty soon. I would do his eyes, and I would put him on a base, which our base is already finished. Well, actually, they're not quite finished, but the basic of the base is there. There's no like little grass. I'm gonna put a lot of skulls on this guy. We haven't talked about the bases yet, but you could be done. You could say, hey, there's my Rubric Marine, and that didn't take too long to get there. So it is true that I have a buddy helping me, but yeah, you could be done.
But that buddy's pushing a lot of buttons.
Pushing a lot of buttons. So you guys have seen this kit. Many of you have seen this kit. This is not a good view here. This is the Citadel Skulls kit. I've had a lot of fun using their barbed bracking kit on my towel, the bait like used for basing. So I decided that I just wanted to like have a ton of skulls.
Yeah.
Because this is chaos. You know, I normally play like these like clean Xenos armies. I was like, if I'm gonna play a chaos army, let me have like a bunch of skulls on the bases.
Yeah,
exactly.
let's lean into that. Which kind of skulls are we gonna put?
So there's a lot of skulls on there.
You're gonna put Tau skulls?
There are Tau skulls in there.
I know, yeah.
Yeah. There's skulls for literally everything in there. I'm gonna put like a mix of skulls. Like in my headcanon, they're checking out a place where like Khorne just was. Khorne, like a Khorne army, right? I don't know if that makes sense or not, but that's in my headcanon. And actually, the fun thing about basing, Adrian is also doing a Thousand Sons army, and we're gonna base our Thousand Sons the same, so that we can use them on the channel and whenever, and like either have them just have a big collection, have varied collection, or be able to do different cults, like in the same army, and say Zach's is cult of time and Adrian's are cult of duplicity or whatever. Oh, I'm into this matte varnish, I'll tell you. Another Brett find.
I'm telling you. Skeptical at first, but
yeah, I was admittedly. Okay, so I'm gonna hop in and do a little bit of non-oil here as well.
Non-oiling.
Midway through, letting the XV88 dry just a little bit, I'm gonna absolutely cover this dude in non-oil.
Really?
And
you're not. I mean, you're just doing the gold, right?
I'm doing the guns. The bolters.
Oh, the bolters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So
I'll zoom in on you.
And here's what I love about Tin Star. Got Tin Star. Nothing takes non-oil like Tin Star.
Yeah.
Look at this. Watch. Here's no non-oil, and here's non-oil. It's such a bright silver. It creates such a contrast to add the non-oil. I love it. I'll go ahead and hit there's a little bit of gold on this guy as well. So I will hit that while I'm at it. There's, boom, one dude done. Little the beakhead bolter.
The bolter with a mouth.
Yeah.
He's just yelling at you. The bolter's just yelling at you and bullets are coming out.
These are Inferno bolt guns.
Are they on fire?
They have a little magic in there.
Well, they're magical bolt guns.
Some AP2. This is kind of like
AP2 bolt guns?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Now this is actually a Thousand Sons thing. A lot of people are.
Is this real?
This is real.
I haven't looked at the book yet.
Yeah. A lot of people. This is real. And
do you have to
this
cast
is
a
not
spell
new.
to make them?
No, this is not new. This is not a new
They're
thing.
just always AP2.
This is so funny. You're exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of people are like shocked by this. They've always been this. They're this in the old codex, and they're this in the new codex. And in previous editions that didn't have like Rend, they were AP3, meaning they ignored other Space Marine armor.
Yeah,
right?
Plasma guns.
Yeah. This is not new. They put a little magic in there. It's kind of what they're known for, as a matter of fact, in previous editions. Well, see, I didn't paint that, but don't care because it's going to be facing his back. Yeah, I'm surprised so many people are like
What?
not aware of the magic bolt guns.
Magical bolt guns?
And before they had this technology called Asphyx, which was a poison that they used from a creature that lived in Prospero, their home planet. And in Heresy, they had this army, and what it did is it was super annoying. People hated it. It was reroll wounds.
Just on their normal troops.
No, their normal troops actually couldn't have it, but like their rotor cannons could take it. Everyone wanted, like, the rotor cannons are so cool looking. Everybody wants them to work in Heresy, but they're like strength 3 in a game where you're like fighting Marines all the time.
Right.
And so the Thousand Sons were the only army that usually took them because they could reroll the wound roll.
Right, right.
Yeah, it became pretty compelling actually.
Asphyx meaning like they took your breath away?
Yes, yeah, it was like this poison that
made you not be able to breathe.
Yeah, it did like this like kind of a weird angle for the Thousand Sons.
I like it.
Yeah. Super cool. I definitely recommend the Heresy novels, at least some of them. Not all of them.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I read the first 3. That was what was recommended to me. To start with the first 3.
Opening trilogy is great.
And then, honestly, the opening book was... I think Dan Abnett wrote the first book.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Dan Abnett. I like his... I mean, I think he's one of the best, if not the best, Black Library author. But, man, you know, and I haven't read any of the other ones. I know that sort of the quality varies a lot. But, yeah, it was like, cool. I enjoyed this. I don't know if I'm down for another 50 books, but like, this was fun. It was a fun romp.
Yeah.
You know?
A fun romp is a good way to...
Yeah.
Yeah, it has some cool stuff. I think...
I was a little bummed, you know, like, spoiler, like, the opening, like, paragraph of the first book makes you think that it's going to be, like, all done. You know, like, the first book is going to, like, be about the heresy, and then it's going to be an aftermath series, but, like, definitely never got to the heresy in the first trilogy. Was a little bummed about that, but I guess they got to keep it going.
Well, you kind of get to... I mean, yeah, I guess that's true. You get to what causes, like, the heresy in the first trilogy.
It's still not even clear. Like, Horus is like... Yeah, he's pretty upset, and you sort of see some of these things in motion, but you never see sort of the real deal happening yet.
I love it's probably I think it does one of the factions we were talking about, one of the chapters where like, hey, this isn't a great chapter, but because it doesn't seem that cool, but when you kind of read into them, I actually felt that way a little bit about word bearers.
Right.
For me, I'm not a particularly religious or spiritual or anything kind of person at all, so that's like their thing.
Yeah.
They're a little like into that, you know what I mean? And so for me, I'm not. So not a chapter I would ever play, but to like kind of hear about why they started it and kind of how they were the ones who did all of this.
Is his name Erebus?
Erebus, yeah,
Erebus,
super cool.
Yeah.
All tatted up, cool looking dude.
Does he have a model in?
I think he does.
Oh, so he survives.
Well, I don't know that answer. I mean, none of them.
Does he have a model in 40K?
I mean, really, none of them have survived, except for.
I mean, he doesn't die in the heresy, right? In the way that, like.
I'm guessing he probably. I think he does. I don't think he dies like in the opening trilogy, but I'm guessing he does. I haven't. I really did stop reading. Unfortunately, I really have stopped. I stopped playing heresy. Once it was funny. Once the 8th ed rule set, this got water on it. Yucks. Once the 8th that oh man, what happened? I got some water on my stuff. Once 8th ed came out, the rule set for 8th ed 40K, I went back and played like a heresy game, which was sort of like you know 7th ed rules.
Yeah.
And whew, it was rough. It was rough. Like wow, it was like I'm sure people in chat have had this experience too, like going back and playing Heresy or the 7th Ed rules after playing 8th Ed, and oh my gosh, I was like, oh wow, oh man, I really messed this up actually with water.
What happened? Like it was like hard to remember, or it was like overly complicated, or what was the sort of experience?
I'd say overly complicated.
Yeah.
Was it overly complicated, and felt, you know, it was interesting because we all complained about elements of 7th Ed while it was happening, as we've all complained about every edition while it's happening, right? Some editions less than others, but when you then get a new edition, and 8th was a big change, right?
Right.
It wasn't like 6th to 7th. It was a big change. Going back and everything just felt so minute. I remember kind of always feeling like, is that necessary? Like,
Oh.
There was a lot of like little things for nothing.
Some little rule for no benefit.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of that, and they got rid of a lot of that.
I mean, we always used to talk about like rules for rules' sake.
Yeah.
That was a catchphrase that got thrown around a lot. But and the classic example that I like to recall is the fact that the Avatar of Cain was immune to melta weapons. And back then, like now, melta weapons are good, but back then, melta weapons were really short range. They were only 12 inches. A lot of factions now have 24-inch or 18-inch meltas now. And so they were, and movement was much harder because you couldn't like advance and shoot or advance and charge. You know, there's like, and charges were a fixed. So like movement was shorter, the tables were bigger, and so shorter range weapons were much less useful. And so melta weapons were just not like a thing that you saw a lot of in earlier editions of the game. And so like the fact that the Avatar of Cain was immune to melta weapons was like,
yeah, or like people
really?
or people got excited that a chimera could go in water.
Could go as
a
amphibious.
water feature.
That's right.
And it was like, okay.
Could move through water features.
And, you know, those were cute, and most of those like didn't come up often. And when they did, you were excited enough about them that you looked into the rule and made sure you got it right. But it was more other things like there would be just bizarre versions of rules like where like they had the universal special rule. Sounds like a good idea. Probably could be a good idea, but then they would like. There's something with like
modify it in some way.
Well, there was like some universal special rules gave other special rules. There's something with Zealot. If anyone remembers like what 7th Ed Zealot did, I remember it was like it did something with run, and then it also gave another rule that was another universal special rule.
Oh, interesting.
But it's like it didn't give like roll 2 dice and get the highest. It was like a variation on things. There were like little weird variations. And the same thing happens, frankly, still today in 8th. Like,
it does.
Why?
Like, why is there a fight first and a fight last?
Sure, okay. Like, I won't argue that. But I was almost more like leaning towards like, why are there 4 different ways stealth technology works?
You're right.
Like, it doesn't actually make sense at all in the background. That's just not how Tau would do it. One of them would be best, and that's the one they would use.
Ghost Keels have -2 to hit against shooting. XV25.
Outside of 6.
Oh, that's right. Outside of 6.
Right. See, it's that.
Yeah.
It's that kind of stuff. Like
XV25s have -1 to be hit with shooting all the time, and -1 to be hit in melee.
Right.
And I guess Remoras count as having light cover.
But keep going, because there's one more, which is Firesight Marksman. There's the one with like adding
plus one to save,
+1 to
when
save,
in cover. Yeah.
And these are all described as like stealth technology, right?
Right.
And so it's like there's like a lot of that, and you're kind of just like, really, why doesn't this all work the same?
And when you're
guys?
playing the
Pick
game,
one of them.
you sort of just like come to accept it. You're just like, okay, I learned the rules. I don't really need to care why they're different. But yeah, you're right. You stop and think about it a little bit, and you're like, huh. This could have been streamlined quite a bit.
It's like, is this adding to the narrative of the game? And I'm kind of like, I would actually submit it is the opposite.
Uh-huh.
And then also makes the game just unnecessarily hard, right?
To learn all the different versions of, what is essentially a stealth mechanic.
Yeah. Oh man, we are.
Man, this
cruising
beetle on
along.
this guy looks great.
Awesome. Oh man, one guy left. How are you finding washing the metallics?
It's fine. It looks good. There's enough detail, like you said. There's rivets. There's some sort of filigree. There's like some good detail on the metallics.
Yeah.
And we were, moving quickly with these, and so there's a little bit of the pens kind of occasionally like got some of the panel, and so the wash in those areas, I'm like intentionally getting the Nuln Oil into the adjacent panel to hide that a little bit. So it's sort of I'm adding detail by filling in crevices in the metallics, but also kind of covering up some of our speed, some of the artifacts from our speedy application of the pens.
So, good time then, with that instead, good time to talk about what's left for Brett and I to do in today's hobby stream to make battle-ready rubrics. So, he is finishing up washing some gold. I am washing some gold on the shoulder pads. And again, we're using Nuln Oil to wash gold. I mentioned earlier that you guys could use, people like to use purple. I don't like the look. I don't know. I've tried it. I don't love the look. People also can you can also use dark blue or Drakenhof Nightshade like we've been using today. And I tried that because I was like, well, that would be great. That'd be a nice tie-in. Still also did not like the look for whatever reason. But you guys might like the look of it. And I will say this, if you try it and you don't like the look, don't give up. Make sure you do a little silver dry brushing on your gold too. Like highlighting on your, because that's actually what makes the purple look better, I think. But I know, I've tried it, I've seen it, I know what it looks like. I'm just not into it. It's just not my thing. Brett, I'm going to reach, or just hand me maybe the shoulder pads.
Oh yeah,
Sorry,
sure.
Another. I am washing the shoulder pads. So here's what's left. We are washing our gold with Nuln Oil, getting it looking a little more real as opposed to just like yellow.
A little more burnished.
A little more burnished. Then we're going to assemble the models.
This episode was brought to you by the letter burnished. And the number 9? Is that what we decided was?
That is
Zinch's number.
That's Zinch's favorite number. So we're going to assemble the models after this. Then we're going to give them. Use a makeup brush to do their kind of all over highlight with silver, with tin star. And at that point, we're at a serious place where we could be done.
We could just stop there, yeah.
Yeah, and I think since we're getting to around 2.5, what we're going to do is we're going to then do the eyes, and we're going to call it at that point. But we won't leave you guys without first kind of telling you some other things you could do, and I'll point a few of them out on the models I've already done. Although I do have to say, I think these guys are coming out better than the ones I did yesterday and earlier today. I'm not sure why that is. A little bit of Brett magic, I think.
It's teamwork, Zach.
Yeah.
Makes the dream work.
It's true. I am actually not sure what it is.
I just told you.
It's teamwork, I'm serious.
That wasn't a joke.
Okay, you have the backpacks.
I've got backpacks.
The backpacks don't have a lot on them, so they'll go pretty quick. Yeah.
Cool.
And I do like that we did just the color shift on the shoulder pads.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I will say people at home, if you're doing this, 2 layers is big with the color shift. And they recommend that anyway. That's what Turbo Dork actually recommends. So,
Zach, let me ask you a question about Thousand Sons.
Yes.
What is it with the bird iconography?
That's like a Zinch thing in general, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have an explanation for that?
I do not.
Why is Zinch obsessed with birds?
I was actually wondering this earlier.
Maybe you can tell us, chat.
And there's like a lot of the. I think it's. I'm guessing it's just design, meaning like when they did the design like builds and early like ideas of like what Tzeentch's motifs would be.
Yeah.
He's also got the little like flame symbol, right?
Right.
I think he seems to have more, it's the Chaos God and model sets I've worked the most with. So maybe it's not fair to say this, but I think he seems to have more of those than any other Chaos God. Khorne is like his whole skull thing.
Skull thing, right?
But Khorne is very upfront about why he likes skulls, which is that he likes skulls and he wants them.
He's like,
Can I have the varnish?
the one?
Actually?
Oh, the varnish, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna hit the loincloth has some gold on it. So I'm gonna hit I'm just gonna hit it with varnish these two little areas right here. And by the way, the reason, if you guys are wondering, why maybe we didn't really come out and say this very like clearly. If you guys are wondering why we're doing this, I think Brett kind of talked about it. It is partially because it rubs off easily when we use our hands to touch it. Oh, I forgot the bottom gold part on these guys. Let me do that real quick. But also, if you try to, and hopefully none of you have tried this yet, if you're like at home really following along with us, which I don't think anybody actually does. Like, can you imagine trying to keep up with like Bob Ross when he's painting, or like a cooking show?
Back a little bit.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, like a cooking show, like when they're like, okay,
Yeah.
now, like that would be a nightmare.
All right. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is the real reason, the other reason we're doing this is if you try to, because they're water-based, right? These pens, if you try to put non-oil like Brett's doing all over the gold, before you've sealed any of the Baoki stuff, it will just run everywhere.
It'll go everywhere.
Yeah, and you'll be like, wow.
Actually, I've noticed I'm getting a little bit of gold in because I'm dipping in the Nol pot.
And you're seeing a small amount?
And I'm seeing a small amount of gold flecks ending up in the paint pot. I know it's like a double no-no, but
that looks like almost none.
almost none.
Which is fine. You would see, like, if you don't do it, which I've done plenty of times by accident, forgot that like that was not paint, that was a Baoki Craftwork pen. You would see it immediately going all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd regret your life choices.
Yeah. Oh, look, Brian there with
and chicken as well. Birds are associated with wisdom and magic in many cultures. Brian says birds in mythology represent portents and omens. Yeah, so I think there's justification for the themes. Makes sense.
Yeah. Maybe that is the better question. Why does Khorne just want our skulls so much?
Yeah, and like, are birds wise? I don't know. Maybe.
Some are. It varied.
Wise, as opposed to intelligent. Yeah, maybe.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Do we know how to
early
gauge
bird
the
gets
wisdom of an animal?
The early bird gets the worm.
What are the tests like? Like they do the test with crows, and crows are one of the few animals that will use a tool to make a tool to get something. Like do that extra step. What is the test for wisdom?
What is the test for wisdom? Yeah.
Like offer them like different CD rates, like at the bank, and see which ones they pick.
Like their ability to suffer now for some sort of benefit in the future. I don't know.
Yeah, how do you test?
Make challenging life choices that have unclear outcomes.
I love the idea of like putting animals to these.
Right.
Well, I don't because I love animals, but in a non-animal cruelty way, like devising ways to like be like crows are smart, but can they?
But blue jays, they're wise.
Yeah, but I'm just even still trying to think of like a wisdom test for a bird.
Yeah. Stephen comments that birds in ancient cultures are viewed as messengers of the gods and also being associated with magic since they fly. Oh, I definitely, I see that. Flying is something that was probably considered pretty fantastical,
Yeah,
several hundred years ago.
that's true.
Since we ascribe things that we can't explain to magic, I believe it.
Yeah, the chaos gods are all kind of interesting. I think like they're cool as concepts, but
Yeah.
I don't always love like the background. I think it's weird that 3 of the Chaos Gods just showed up during the like Middle Ages of humanity, and then one of them was born because of like
Because of Eldar
everything
excess.
the Eldar did.
Yeah.
Like that seems a little outweighed. Like we weren't doing like how bad are humans that we made 3 Chaos Gods in the Middle Ages, and then Eldar took them like built like to own the galaxy, right? Like they were the undisputed masters of the galaxy.
Wait, did humans create the first 3?
Well, that's like how they
That's
woke
the
up.
idea?
I don't know. Yeah, that might be it. I don't think they created them, but that's what woke
Yeah.
them up is like stuff humans were up to in the Middle
Human
Ages.
activities, yeah.
Right.
So
that doesn't seem that interesting, honestly. If
wait,
you're
so
like,
I have a related question. So understand that birds are all of the comments about birds are noted and appreciated. Why does Slaanesh have like claws and crabs? Like, what is the like obsession with like crustaceans?
yeah.
Like, why is Slaanesh chosen?
And by the way, just so
Seafood.
we're clear, guys in chat, don't feel like you have to let up on the bird chat.
Oh yeah,
Always
always be chatting about birds.
Always bird chat. I do love birds as well.
You own a copy of Wingspan and play it
I
regularly.
do. I love the game Wingspan. Any bird fans out there? Any Zinch fans out there? Wingspan, super cool game.
Oh my gosh, Games Workshop should partner with whoever publishes Wingspan and do a crossover,
Like with,
like with all these like chaos birds.
oh my god, there's like one chaos bird though, and there's like a million real.
No, they can make up chaos versions of all the birds in Wingspan, I'm
That'd
sure.
be pretty funny actually. Yeah. Why? Yeah. So, yeah. Chat so smart. Why is Zinch into? I mean, why is Slaanesh into crabs?
And claws,
And
yeah,
claws.
lobster claws.
In general Slaanesh talk, we like to put a pin in though because it's real easy for it to get to like a.
I mean, they're into other things too, but as far
it's
as
quick
like
to get Slaanesh
creature,
chat into an R rating.
I mean, well, so I guess I went there because, like, Khorne's not into a creature; they're just into skulls of all creatures, and it sort of makes sense why Khorne's into skulls. You don't have to need a lot. You don't need a lot of imagination to figure that one out. And Nurgle is like he's like the god of disease. Okay, I get it. Like he's not really into a creature either. He's just into like, you know, diseased versions of all creatures. But for whatever reason, Slaanesh is into crabby claws, and Zinch is into birds.
I like it. Are you done?
I'm done.
This is awesome. We are almost done. So here's what's left. Assembly, your favorite. Whoa there, mister. 'Cause you're gonna
No, okay. All right.
you're gonna be back
I'm
that
ready.
guy. So you're gonna get past the rubric
Yep.
and you're gonna put the back. Oh, glue. Okay, super glue. Not Brett's favorite, but I did show Brett. I did AK, which we love around here. We talk about how we get a lot of AK products because GK, Game Castle, or local game store stocks them. This is the best super glue ever because it has one thing that all super glue should have, which is that in the lid,
Wait, show it in the. Turn on the zoom cam, and you can.
in the lid, there's a little metal stabby thing that stabs when it goes down in here and basically prevents this from clogging. Like,
Yeah.
hello, where's this been my whole life?
Right.
Pink lid,
Yeah.
super glue that we all use, which I
It's
also
like-
still love.
That's funny. Like none of these super glues, like the lid doesn't fit on
look at this.
anymore because it gets so like.
And then there's the
gummed
new
up.
one. There's the new one.
Oh yeah,
We
brand
can-
new.
we can
It's like
compare.
supposed to fit like this.
Look at this. It's like a quarter
Right.
inch up.
That's right.
Yeah. The lid grows as you use it because of the glue.
That's
So, boom. Brett's gonna
Okay.
start. Well, we're both gonna start doing it. I'm gonna use the
I'm super gluing.
this one.
My favorite. This
we're
is my
just
favorite
assembling
step.
these guys. Yeah.
Do you want to do? Well,
We're-
so we're doing. Yeah. What order do we want to do this?
Doesn't
in?
really matter.
Okay.
What we would ideally want to do is put the loincloths on first, but we can't
Yeah.
because we need to do our silver dry brush,
Yeah.
and we don't want to do that with the loincloths on.
Right.
So,
the loincloths do not, guys, do not silver dry brush your loincloths.
yeah, general rule of thumb.
Newbie mistake.
Yeah, just have at it. I'm gonna start doing shoulder pads.
I did it myself, and then Zach was like, "Come on, Brett, don't
You
silver dry brush. your
don't silver
loincloths."
dry brush a loincloth.
All right, so you're gonna give me 3 of these. You're gonna take 2 of
I'm
them.
gonna start shoulder pads here.
Can I do bases now?
No.
No bases.
Let's not do bases
Okay.
until after we do our silver dry brush.
Do I shake super glue? Sure, why not?
That one is pretty thin. I don't think it's okay.
Okay.
It just blows up.
Brian has a theory about crab claws. He says that in general, the Chaos Gods have an elemental bent to them. Tzeentch is air, Khorne is fire, Nurgle is earth, and Slaanesh is water. Hence the sort of crustacean theme.
Oh, yeah, that's
I
interesting.
could buy that.
I could buy that, I guess. Not sure I've ever really
Oh
thought
my
of
gosh,
that.
this is a threaded cap too.
Yeah, it's.
Oh my
it's,
gosh, I was trying to pull it.
The AK was not messing around when they made this glue.
Yeah, yeah. Don't get any glue down on those threads though. Okay, backpacks. Here we go. Do you have a preference about which backpack goes on which guy?
I do not.
You say that, and then they're going to be keyed specific backpacks to specific guys.
What do you mean?
This happened when we did the Beast Claw Raiders.
Oh yeah, no, they're not like that though. This is a much newer kit where they're like done with that kind of shenanigans.
Zach, do you want to talk about this like tacky stuff that you put on the end of your corks?
I have before the window stripping stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you don't like it, but
It sticks to the models a little too much for my taste.
and that's I think because I always forget to tell you the secret,
yeah, what's
which
the
is that to
secret?
get it to not stick, you have to like yank it real quick.
Oh.
Yeah, if you kind of pull it slowly, it'll stick.
Oh.
Try
okay.
yanking
okay,
one
okay.
off.
Here we
Watch
go.
what happens.
We're gonna do this. Let's see.
On
All right.
On cam yank.
Your mark. Get set. What?
Yeah,
That was amazing.
gotta yank.
Oh my gosh! Because these other ones I did, they got residue on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go again. That was great.
Yeah, it's funny, right? And it's really funny because I let you borrow a bunch of that stuff, and you came back and you were like,
I was like,
yeah, I didn't really like
"Nah."
this. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I was like doing it like a couple of days after. I was like, oh my God, I forgot to tell him. Sorry, bro.
All right, cool.
My bad.
No, I love it now. It's my. I had one issue with it, and you just fixed that issue.
Can I see one of those dudes? Like, I need to see which dude is going to hold the Reaper autocannon. Definitely not this guy.
Okay.
This is
Yeah, you can have all the dudes.
this is a bolter guy. If you're aiming, you're not holding a Reaper autocannon.
If you're aiming with a Reaper autocannon, you're doing it wrong.
You know, here's what I love about the Rubric Marines. They are, I do think, I don't know if we got any confirmation in chat. I would love if anyone knew this information. If they are the first upsized Marine, because I do think this kit came out before Primaris, and they are a little bit bigger. They're a little bit taller and kind of longer and lankier than like old style Marines. So I would be really curious if these guys are the first guys that got upsized a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that the Rubric kit and the Scarab Occult kit came out before. Sorry, not Scarab. No,
Yeah.
yeah, Scarab Occult. Okay. Sorry, in 30K they're called Sekhmet, and I always get it confused. I'd be curious. But what I was going to say is they're still kind of like this like pose, this old pose of just like holding a gun in front of them, which is sort of funny because they're like a modern plastic kit. But I think GW must have, like in the design studio, been like, wait a minute, if one style of Marine looks good just like walking and holding their gun in front,
yeah.
it's a Rubric Marine. Right? Because he's basically a ghost, you know? So he's not really aiming. He's just kind of like walking around.
Yeah.
Okay, can
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I took all your dudes away from you. Boom, boom, boom. The Brett has messed up his mic, everyone. There's a foot involved. I love this. Of course, I start the show with my mic muted. But apparently I talk loud enough that I came through your mic, which is kind of nice.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to glue some backpacks on. There's a question in chat about why we're using super glue rather than plastic glue. The thought here is we don't want to have to sort of scrape off the paint where the two models, or the two halves come together. So we could use plastic glue. These are both plastic halves that we're gluing on. There's no pewter or resin here. But yeah, it's just a time-saving thing. Also, Zach, you have this thing you like to do, which is design or glue your model, assemble your models in a way that so that if somebody hypothetically were to drop a building on them, they would, break in convenient ways that are easy to reassemble. And so, not that has ever happened or ever would happen, because that would be a travesty. But yeah, in a hypothetical world that might happen, somebody might borrow your model and then drop a building on it.
Yeah, it's a great question. We actually get this question a lot. What Brett's saying is somewhat part of it, but honestly, I think the bigger part is just careful on their shoulder pads a little bit, because they're just freshly on there.
Okay.
What Brett's saying is the first thing he said, I think, is I guess I would say the bigger reason, which is that once paint has been applied to a model, I do not want to use plastic glue. It makes a big mess. Unless, as Brett's saying, you go back in with like a Dremel or a file and you file down paint. Now, remember, you're saying, well, why would you ever be gluing areas that have been painted? And it's really an airbrush thing. We work in sub-assemblies to make the painting easier. I think that a lot of people, someone was saying this the other day, it might have even been Bridger, like how assembly's fun, and like getting the guy finished and like posed and you look at him, that's like cool. That's something that, like, if you want to like up your painting level up, you kind of have to like leave that behind. Yeah. Because you're like, I really need these things to be separate. I'm gonna get the cool, everything stuck together and it looks so cool. I'm gonna get that when I'm done completely. I don't get that along the way anymore.
Right. Look at my half-finished models and be like, it looks in its half-finished state.
Oh, half-finished? I don't know. A model that's only assembled and not painted at all? That's not half-finished. That's like 10% finished.
Broken Chef says that he believes that we are correct. I remember a local redoing all of his corn guys and play guys with parts to get them all bigger. About this, the Rubrics being sort of the first
upsized
Marines.
Yeah, and I would not is sort of cool, but it's actually pretty narrow limited compared to what I see in modern Primaris. Just this guy.
Just need a backpack.
Yeah, in modern Primaris. So I would say that I think they're the one, if not the first, kind of upsized Marine, one of the first. Yeah. But like I said, their posing kind of works, like, because they're basically just machines.
Yep. I had a question about this. I was thinking about the lore of Thousand Sons.
Yes.
And their thing is they're after perfection, right?
No. This is...
Wait, who am I thinking of? Emperor's... Oh, I'm thinking of Emperor's Children.
Emperor's Children. Does that immediately end that question?
Yes, it does. I thought it does. I was conflating the two, and my thought was, well, if they're... I'll tell you where I was going with this.
Okay.
Even though it's a wrong direction. I was like, if they're going for perfection, and the idea is that if you just take away all of the flesh from the... Like, this is a common theme.
You are now combining malt. You've now just added iron hands into the...
They're just dust, right? They're like, there's nothing in the armor. They're just like walking psychic things. Like, maybe now. But yeah, they're not their chapter.
Okay, so with stuff glued on, who's like the most glued together?
This guy, the sorcerer, I think. Right?
His backpack just got put on, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're all fully glued together at this point.
So what we're going to do now, you guys saw me here. I'm putting Tin Star on my paper, and I'm taking a makeup brush. I got this from not a hardware store, drugstore. I got it from a Rite Aid near my place, and it's really light. And now what I'm going to do is just hit him with this very lightly. And all over, believe it or not. And this will mostly catch the gold because the gold's what's raised, but obviously it's also going to hit the blue a little bit. Again, I don't actually love that it hits the blue. but I'm okay with it. And anywhere where it gets on the blue and it's like a little too much, I can clean it up. Okay, but it's also going to bring the gold like a little more in line with what we want things to look like, meaning, you know, not like super bright and like glowing like it was earlier. Brett, let me hand you this guy. I still have to do two last steps. We're almost done here.
Yeah, so these are pre
Oh,
the step that Zach's just doing. So just kind of showing you where we're at right now. We've still got to do the silver dry brush on these 4 guys and add their tabards, their loincloths. So we've got just a couple more steps to go here.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
Brett, I guess I can grab. Do you want to? Oh, do we want to do? Can we compare? Yeah. Anyway, sorry guys. What I was going to say, should we compare? But let's not. We'll just move on. But what we will say is what Brett just showed you. You could also stop right here, I think.
Yeah, totally. Zero Crow had a super chat. Thank you, Zero Crow. We weren't ignoring you. Yeah, I just got distracted with painting models. Sorry about that. Finally doing my Dark Eldar bases. We talked about Eldar ruins with growing warp crystals. Oh, that sounds like a cool effect. I want yellow and ivory tones for contrast in the stone. How to do it. Yellow and ivory tones.
Yeah, so I'll tell you a product you might want to play around with that I love, and it's the Citadel wash, a Citadel shade.
Do you want me to do these, or you can just do them all yourself? Right?
Yeah, it's
I can
pretty.
work on.
It's just two dudes left.
Shall I work on gluing tabards while you're for the ones that you finished?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. There should be one more. Where's the one more? Where's one more?
Right there.
Oh yeah. There you go. It doesn't actually. This goes on the aspiring sorcerer.
Okay. Good to know.
Yes, so I'll tell you something I really love, and actually, speaking of these loincloths, I've used it on these before, like a way to shade, how can you shade like ivory or white in an interesting way?
Yeah.
And one of the ways I think to do it is with the Citadel yellow wash, I forget what it's called, Cassandra or something like that. It's named something that probably AOS that I'm just not familiar with yet. And it's a really awesome look on ivory. It on any kind of like bone or ivory color.
Yeah.
If you wash it with yellow, you get kind of like a worn look. Now, here's what I'll say. I think it maybe is a little bit better on like to kind of imply cloth or book or pages.
Yep.
Than it is stone. So for stone, then
He's doing crystals.
oh, crystals.
Growing crystals.
If
Yeah.
I said something about ivory, let me see.
Yeah. So he wants a yellow and ivory tones
Oh,
in the crystals.
Okay, I think my instinct, if I wanted specifically kind of those colors, would probably be to do them like think about them as yellow crystals,
Right.
and then maybe do like any kind of edge highlighting on your crystals with like a bone color, which is
Oh,
probably
so I was actually going to go the other direction. I was going to suggest
yeah,
like painting the crystal ivory and then edge highlighting with the brighter, sort of more vibrant yellow. But I think either would work.
either would work.
It would give a very different effect depending on whether you wanted the crystals to be more ivory or more yellow.
Yeah,
But either would look good.
yeah.
And I almost just broke my mic again.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think when I think about ivory, I think that would work. When I like Brett's saying, when I think about ivory, can I have him actually?
Yeah.
When I think about ivory, I think about it being opaque, and so I still think you
Yep.
could do it though.
Yeah, it would be an interesting effect. There would be more like you said, like stones, rather than like clear crystals. They'd be like opaque crystals. But that's a thing that opaque
Yeah.
crystals exist.
Which is super cool, to be
Oh
honest
my
with you.
gosh! I did one of these. I pulled it off slowly, and it left sticky tack all over the part, and then I remembered immediately, and then now they just come off when you pull it quickly.
Yeah, I gotta pull it.
That's
Real
great.
quick.
That's great.
Okay, Brett, if you want to top down, I'll show peeps what I'm up to here. I'm doing a little bit of actual brushwork, guys. And the brushwork I'm doing, I'm recreating the look of the loincloth that he's got here by hand. Hard to do. Not going to be exact, but it's easy enough, like in the application we're doing here. So, same color process. First, XV88. Okay, these are going to get Baoki gold here, so I'm not really worried about getting stuff over top of them. Okay, boom. That is actually, you guys know I love to use airbrush paints to paint with. That was not an airbrush paint. That was actually a Citadel base paint, which I've also said is like one of my favorites.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I don't know, the base paints are just great. They go on nice and thick, but not like in a gross way, like a gooped up way.
Zach, I have an issue here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure these tabards
They do.
fit.
They do, but it's not fun.
Oh, I see. Are the gun hands glued on?
Yeah. It should be. Maybe that one's a little loose.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So these tabards, they need to be inserted carefully.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something that you normally would want to do earlier in the process.
Got it.
But we didn't because it made them.
Because there's reasons.
It made it
reasons.
awesome to airbrush them. We were able to just knock them out, like without having to mask and do all. I mean, you guys see the one I have here, right? Like this one's a little different, but this is a nightmare if you're having to airbrush this. Yeah, and did you get it?
No, I'm working on it.
Okay. Okay, so after XV88 is on there, I use the same colors I airbrushed it. So the next one is Terminata Stone. And I'll show you guys, if we go top down here in a sec, I'll show you guys, I'm back to using Citadel Air because I'm doing a couple layers here now. And this is nice because, yeah, we're nice and dry here. You can see it's going on real thin. It's definitely allowing the XV88 to kind of peek through. And that's exactly what I want because I'm making cloth.
Oh man, Zach, I feel like we should have put these tabards on before we glued on the arms.
It's not easy. I did 5 of them earlier today, so it is doable. But maybe try another one. Maybe that guy's
Yeah,
particularly
I'm
bad.
just gonna switch off. Yeah.
Yeah. So some, like when I was doing them earlier today, some were easier than others. You guys will notice like a big thing because man, it's been a minute since we've like talked about getting in and doing like honest brushwork. A big thing, keep going the same direction. We all talk about thin coats. That's big. I love Citadel Air paint for this over Citadel base paint. I don't really use their layer paints to be honest with you, which is a shame because that's where they actually have the most amount of colors. But you can see, look at that, just like adding a little bit more. Love the Citadel Air paints like this. Nice and, look at that, already a pretty decent match with the hanging tabard there. So there we go. I could be done, but I'm gonna add just a little bit more and I'm gonna do White Scar, Citadel White Scar. And this is great. Megan the other day noticed I had like 5 bottles of Evil Sun Scarlet and 5 bottles of White Scar and a couple other colors because I pour them out to make my custom Craftwork color. And then I leave them here because like you guys know you can never get all the paint out, right? So I leave them here for stuff just like this so I can have like just this tiny little amount of paint. Get it? It's already thinned because it's an air paint.
Yeah, my mind was kind of blown when the first time you were like, no, I just don't use normal non-air paints. I was like, well, why is that? And we're like, well, what's the first thing you do after you buy a non-air paint? Well, you thin it. Well, the airbrush paint just comes pre-thinned out of the bottle. So yeah, it's a little less money efficient. You're getting less pigment for your dollar, but it saves you a bunch of time. So that has value too.
It saves you like time in this way that's like consistency also.
That's a really good point.
You're not making it yourself, you know?
Yep.
And there we go.
All right, Zach, I got one tabard in place.
Nice.
But now, because I was doing a test fit, didn't put glue on, now I have to take it out.
What? Oh, is this in there pretty good?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
It kind of flops around.
I was like, is it going anywhere? Because if it's not going anywhere, don't glue it. It's good enough.
Oh my gosh, Zach. So much heresy.
Yeah, I know. Okay, and then to finish our Exalted Sorcerer, what I'll do here while Brett is finishing up, so we can wrap up and not make this stream super long. Here is...
Oh my gosh. I just got super glue all over the place.
Oh yeah, things are deteriorating over here. Wow, I'll tell you, you could do a little bit of cleanup on these guys. You could hit them with Baoki to highlight. Like this is a thing we've talked about before. If you guys want to, Brett, sorry, I know you've got some dilemmas going on, but you can see I'm going to hit some areas with the Baoki Craftwork pen again. Here's the thing. Oop, don't like that. A little too
Super
much.
glue is basically just gloss varnish, guys.
Well, no, the thing is, like, we've talked about this before, where, like, what color should I edge highlight or, like, highlight something with? And the answer sometimes is you should use the color that you used before you did a wash. And so you can see I'm kind of going through and I'm picking out a couple areas on the Exalted Sorcerer where I want to add just like a little bit, like bring it back up to where it was. So, because I'm gonna varnish this guy one more time, believe it or not. So there's a couple areas here where like we use the non-oil and kind of brought it down a little bit. And I'm gonna just bring it back up.
So chat is of the opinion that there are two different sort of tabard designs that go with two different styles of, like the method of affixing the tabard to the model differs in that there's two different designs.
Yeah, well there's the one for the Exalted Sorcerer, which is here, and then there's the one for the Rubric Marines, which is there.
But apparently amongst the rubrics, there are even two different ones, according to chat.
Disagree, but I could be wrong. It's possible. I did 5 of them earlier today.
Yeah.
But it is possible by odds that I got only one type.
You got lucky.
Of both of both ports, right?
No,
of both the one that.
No, you know what happens, Zach, is every time you picked up a tabard, it just through coincidence happened to be the correct one for the.
Yeah. Oh, that too. Yeah. All of these are possible. Okay, so let's do this. Let's show you guys. Let's finish up the Exalted Sorcerer. So, Brett, sorry, one more time, because I'm going to do his eyes.
Oh, gosh, so I just put super glue on the model. All right, here you go.
Nice. Okay, thank you so much for your sacrifice there. Okay, here we go. Eyes. I keep these eyes pretty simple. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a little bit of white where his eye is. Kind of hate doing eyes with my contacts in, but it's good. Okay. That was Citadel Air. Give that a second to dry, and then I'm going to use the hex, the technical paint that they have, Hex Wraith Flame, and this is going to create kind of like a little bit of a glowy look on him.
Yeah.
And then the only other final thing, and I promise this is it. I'm going to use the Vallejo Mecha Color Green Fluorescent to do like a little bit of a dry brush around his eye to give like a little bit of a glow effect. And someone was actually asking about that earlier today about like getting a glow effect with dry brush. And so we'll actually look at that. So I'm going to go in real carefully here with Hex Wraith Flame, although not too carefully because this stuff basically just forms a puddle and makes a little glowing effect. I'm into it. This is a new one.
Yeah, we've not done this before. Let me zoom in on you.
Well, it's it. That's it. It's done.
It's done? Oh, gosh.
That's okay. I mean, there's nothing to it. There's really nothing to it. Again, you don't have to do the dry brush glowing effect, which means, yet again, this could be another place where we're done with our Thousand Sons aspiring sorcerer, Rubric Marine Helper dude. By Rubric Marine Helper dude, I mean like literally the guy animating all the Rubric Marines around him so that they can fight. So he's, you know, help is maybe not strong enough of a word. just hitting this. I want a little more contrast around the rivets there on the steel.
Zero Crow had a addendum to his question. He was asking about ivory and yellow crystals. He says, I want the stones to be ivory and yellow, and the crystals will be purple. So I think like yellow and ivory are great colors for rocks, which I think is what you were originally asking.
I see. Yeah.
Or what you originally assumed.
Yes.
So yeah, I think like as opaque colors, yellow and ivory work great. And then would you like start with one and then dry brush the other? Or highlight with the other?
For
stones.
For stone. Actually, one thing Zero Crow I would tell you to watch is the one where I do my Asuryani bases are kind of this ivory color stone ruins. And so that is the episode where Brian and I did bases. So it's from a couple months back. And in that one, I do show how I do my my Asuryani or Craftwork Eldar bases. And you can see there that...
It's called like faces and bases, but really just bases.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see that there. But yeah, basically I use...
Basically.
I get to like this color, like I believe it's Shanti Bone or it might be Typhon Ash. And then you dry brush with white over top of it and catch all the edges with white. And that gives you like a really nice kind of like ivory look. And then if you want to go in and kind of wash in any particular areas, then you could use either like a brown, like Agrax or Reichland or something like that, Flesh Shade. Or like I said, if you want it to be a little more like chilled out and not as contrasted, you could wash with the yellow that they have. Okay, I had a very specific dry brush somewhere around here that I cannot spot with my eyes right now. Here it is. Never mind, I found it. Okay.
Zach, we're painting Thousand Sons. What if you tried to spot it with your mind?
I guess that almost kind of did happen because I stopped looking where I thought it was and looked where I thought it could have gone, which is back where all my paintbrushes go. Okay, this is a dry brush, and this is the last thing because we're running a little long. Thanks for sticking with us, though, everybody. God, anybody who's been watching Titan stuff, last night's game was so long. Thousand Sons are just like, hey, deal with me for hours on end, kind of an army, even when you're painting them. Well, this is quick Rubric Marines, by the way.
Right.
Okay, so by the way, what I was saying, sorry guys, what I was saying is this dry brush is a Citadel base brush that got old. I clip it off, and it creates this really kind of special soft brush that's also sort of firm. So this is a good use for your old brushes. Just like cut them down, and you get this kind of like stubby but soft. Because lots of people sell like what they call like a stippling brush, but it's really firm and hard, and I'm not into that with my brushes. So tofu, sure, other things maybe, but not with my brushes that I'm trying to dry brush with. So here we go, and there's the glow effect, and it's pretty subtle. It's just like kind of turning a little bit of the area slightly green. Brett, while you're back there.
Yeah, do we have a knife, Zach? A hobby knife?
We do. Where was it? Oh, up, no. Oh, down here.
Okay. Yeah, what
Can I have on the bases?
Absolutely.
Okay, and we are...
Did you make these bases, or are they...
I did.
Okay.
These bases, also if you want to see how I made these, again, watch the basing video Brian and I did, because they are literally the same bases I did for my Beast Claw Raiders, with the exception that instead of adding snow, which I will not be adding, or any kind of ice effect, which I will not be adding, I'm going to be adding skulls.
You're going to sprinkle skulls on your base?
There's just going to be skulls all over it, like multiple skulls.
Love it.
Okay, and here he is. This is our finished sorcerer. This guy was, oh no, I just bent and pretty much broke his staff. Awesome. Like at a place awesome, that's Zach. Like not supposed to break.
That's the opposite of awesome.
It's the opposite of awesome. Okay, you can see his staff now is a little bit bent, like literally as I was walking over. Look at that. Oh my God, that just happened. What a mess. But here's the thing, he otherwise looks good. I think. And this guy, when we started 3 hours, oh my God, that staff.
It's such a sad
so
staff.
This guy, when we started, was black primer. That's it. And so now here he is. It took 2 of us and it took 3 hours. And we did
And
5.
he's got 4 buddies. Yeah.
He's got 4 buddies. So I think that's a pretty cool time for Rubric Marines. And I think these Rubric Marines look pretty decent. I said what I was going for today to Brett is 6 out of 10, which is actually not great. I like to try to get as high as I can. I like to try to get to my 10 at all times. This guy I think is kind of like, well, the ones I had earlier today I think were my 6s. I think this guy came out to close to a 7, maybe an 8. The cloth, again, we talk about like having one place that really sells it. I think it's kind of like his robes. And I'll tell you what definitely doesn't sell it.
What?
That
The bent staff?
bent staff. It's getting worse too. It's slow. Like you guys at
It's
home
falling.
can tell. You guys
It's
can tell
slowly
it's getting
falling.
worse, right?
Every time it goes around, it's like a little bit, sags a little bit further.
Oh man.
Wow.
Just like a fitting end to Zinch's plans.
Well, do you wanna base these last 3?
Are they ready?
They're ready.
Wait, last 3. What happened to
The 4th one, I'm still fighting with this 4th guy's tabard. And then we can show the squad of 5. And
That's true. Their eyes
a
won't be
minute?
done. Their eyes won't be done, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll base these guys real quick. Thanks guys for hanging out with us as we make some Rubric Marines. I will be painting a ton of Rubric Marines in the coming days. Actually, no, not a ton of Rubric Marines, a ton of Thousand Sons. Thousand Sons are going to be showing back up on the channel in a couple weeks, in a few weeks. I'm not sure if 2 or 3. We're actually going to have an episode kind of centered around everyone's favorite Thousand Sons model. And if you're not sure what that model is, you just need to look
The
at
Warp Beast?
Yeah, there it is. It's that. Brett gave it away. But that's fine. That's fine. I'm glad. Yeah, everyone's like so into the Warp Beast. I've got one on its way. I'm going to paint the Warp Beast, and with its back part, we're going to do Galaxy Effect. We think Mel's going to actually join us for that show. Mel's got some Galaxy Effect she wants to do on her Sylvaneth
Her
Alaria model. Not turtle, beetle.
Beetle.
Yeah,
That's right.
on her Alaria from Sylvaneth. So Mel and I are going to do a little Galaxy Effect. And maybe she might let me, in prep for the episode, do some Galaxy Effect nails for her. And she was like,
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Airbrush? You're going to airbrush nails?
I've airbrushed nails before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, we should do it. We should do some airbrush nails.
New Titans channel.
Yeah. We'll do a little Galaxy Effect with some Thousand Sons. I think I'm also going to do Galaxy Effect on my discs.
Yep, that's a great
floating
idea.
discs. I think it could be kind of hip
Can I
looking.
do one base?
Yeah.
All right.
This, I don't know.
I've already got super glue,
Oh, then you're good.
Zach. I'm good on that.
You're good on your AK
Yep.
super glue, which I think is a little bit better. All right, I'll put these guys, their eyes are not done, but at least they don't have like a broken staff. God, I cannot believe this guy's staff broke like that. This is an army that Adrian's going to handle frequently on the channel, so let's just get it over with.
They need to hold up.
They need to hold up. That's not gonna cut it.
Alrighty, let's see what we got here.
As we wrap up here, a couple things that are missing that you could do. One, you could do decals. I'm going to do decals. I actually have a bunch of the old, not old, but the 30K Heresy decals that I'm going to put on these guys rather than the ones that come in the box. So I'm excited for that. There'll be white instead of yellow. I don't actually want to add like a bright yellow to this model, but I'm cool with adding white. I'm going to do a little glow effect. And I'm sorry we didn't get to that today. I know people were asking. We will do it again, I promise. Actually, the Galaxy look will have it because the Galaxy effect is all about glow effect. Other things you could do. You could go back and clean up, although I will say this. These guys came out a lot cleaner than earlier, the ones I did earlier.
Yeah.
And I guess I learned a little bit from it, which is good. We always learn when we do things a second time, right? I think I pulled back a little bit on the makeup brush. So that's it.
That's great.
I think we did it. We're caught up on chats, super chats.
We are.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm super impressed with this. These came out really nicely.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, like these are not like Golden Demon quality, like best we could do kind of models,
Yeah.
but we got through 5 models in, a session. And Adrian and I, when we did orcs, didn't even get that far.
Yeah.
So
there's no great shortcut for orc skin.
Yeah.
Or any skin on
and
a small
orcs have a lot
infantry
of
model.
gubbins too, right? There's like leather and there's metal bits and there's, yeah. And
When people,
well, I guess we did masking and some stenciling.
which adds a lot as well.
Which adds a lot, yeah.
When people talk about an army that's really hard to paint, I've done a 30K Thousand Sons army, and they're not quite as ornate as these guys. Their exposure to Tzeentch has made them a little more into the Baroque period than they used to be. But
Yeah.
I feel like they look like an army that's rife for a bunch of processes.
Yeah.
Which is what we did.
Yeah, we did, and we did airbrushing, we did washing, we used the markers. We could have done some edge highlighting if we wanted to turn it up a notch, but
Yeah.
realistically, not really needed.
I did go back with the Baoki, like last step on
Yeah.
the Exalted Sorcerer and hit a couple areas like on his horns and stuff. And totally, guys, do that, especially like on the headdresses. The other thing we didn't do yet that I'll have to do over the weekend is their headdress striping.
Right.
I did that on my guys earlier, and I actually need to clean it up on my guys earlier. But again, like the models are just so gorgeous.
You almost don't need it. Like if you're just going for tabletop battle ready, then you're good. You're
good.
fine.
We did get it.
I've got one more super chat. Thank you, Michael Cody. Love the streams as I'm painting up my Thousand Sons.
Awesome.
Brett, Discord reference question. Is the delusion in which Batman lives a civilization? Yeah, I saw that in Discord.
You haven't thought about that already? You don't have an answer
My
locked and
response to
loaded?
that is, I'm Batman.
I think that's like a perfect way to end.
All right.
We have...
Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, we have on Tabletop Titans tomorrow and Saturday. Thousand Sons. Thousand Sons are playing.
Yeah.
Tomorrow... No, I think tomorrow's Grey Knights. I don't know that they're doing Thousand Sons.
Grey Knights and Orcs. Yeah.
And Orcs. Grey Knights and Orcs. Saturday is Thousand Sons.
Yep.
I don't know if these guys are going to be on the tabletop. Adrian and I are both kind of like just painting Thousand Sons. We already sort of have Thousand Sons. We're using a combination of stuff he's done, a combination of my 30K Thousand Sons, which kind of hang in there a little bit. So we know we'll see Thousand Sons on the stream. We don't know which Thousand Sons.
Yeah.
This channel is going to go from having no Thousand Sons to 6,500 points of Thousand Sons.
Multiple
in a
armies
month.
of Thousand Sons. What are we doing here next week?
That's a great question. We don't entirely know yet.
Oh,
there's a
stay
number.
tuned.
There's a number of things that could happen, kind of depending on some releases
Yep.
and what Adrian's workload looks like. So we don't really know that answer quite yet.
Teaser, yeah. Stay tuned, and it's add suspense, right?
Add suspense. Teaser. We don't know. Awesome.
All right, great. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, guys.
Guys.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Rubric Marines, not so scary, right?
Not so scary.
Not so
yeah.
scary.
Anyone can do it.
Anyone can do it. You just need another person in like 3 hours.
And a gold pen.
And a gold pen.
Don't.
Baoki, Craftwork, gold pen. And silver as well. Okay, guys, reminding you, please be kind to each other, be kind to yourselves, and always be creating.
Bye.